A proposito. Caccol, caccol, caccol. Giustamente adesso comincia subito a cercare Butler, che in questo, secondo me la figura di Butler e Jover in questo momento si sovrappongono. Quindi, che ne dite, iniziamo? Andiamo perché c'è tanto da fare oggi e voglio arrivare a quella parte. Alright, where is Butler? Butler, did you watch my big moment? Damn it! After being shown that screwed up magical storm, what can I deny? Do witches exist, I ask? After all those kabooms and kabangs, after being shown all that tremendous fantasy, what can I deny now? I don't get it anymore. It was like that last time too. How can I deny that awesome, wonderful, magical battle? I know, right? After watching this, you can talk your way out of it. You can't talk your way out of it anymore, can you? Alright, Butler, let me hear those ridiculous reasonings. Guarda come se la gode. Milady, your laugh is undignified. Oh, my apologies. But I'm not to blame. After all, when Butler tightly closes his eyes, grinds his teeth, and shows me that ever so bitter expression, it just automatically slips out of my mouth, you see? Sadica completamente. Come, Butler-sama. Why don't you return to the table without losing heart? Milady is expecting your counterattack, you see? Fuck you! How the hell am I going to make a counter-argument? In the first place, this had all been fucked up since about the time that the tower sprouted up out of the earth. Should I say that actually underground on Rokkenjima there's a secret laboratory for massive transforming combining robots or something? And that by pushing a button a strange tower sprouts up? Right, and then those huge giant robots, must be robots. Or maybe an evil secret association mecha monsters? Makes no goddamn sense! Poverino, l'hai fatto piangere, Beato. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, don't cry, alright? Kabang, kaboom, it's magic! If you want, I'll crush the moon and make comets fall like rain. I can even bury the whole island in those bouncy-chested babes. What? I can even bury the whole island in those bouncy-chested babes you like so much, see? Come, come, look, 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 my turn is over, see? Show me your response. Counterattack. You can't, can you? I am a quadrillion% sure you can't. You're useless against it, right? You can actually... You actually like this kind of fantasy, don't you? I know all about it. This kinds of stuff been going around everywhere lately, hasn't it? in manga and light novels, in anime and movies. Some teenager brat has a whole bunch of some strange special abilities, and there's all those kaboons and badooms with the fate of the world at risk. You love that, don't you? I know, don't hide it, you love it, right? Aspetta. Alzo le mani, non rispondo. Mi avvalgo della facoltà di non rispondere, Jover. The thing that you love just displayed itself a little before your eyes. That's all, right? Why do you believe in manga and anime, but you won't believe in me? Believe it. You can't argue back, not after you've been shown something like this, right? Come on, answer me. You don't need to think. You don't need to think. You can just obediently say, I'm sorry, Beatrice-sama. Quanto la adoro. Come, just try and say it. I'm sorry, Beatrice-sama. Try and say it. Say it. Don't be embarrassed. Ah, e finiva così, ok. Mancava poco, però vabbè. Non potevo saperlo. Oh, stiamo andando avanti. Le 6. Capitolo Virgilia. There was no way to notice the coming of morning without opening a window or looking at the cloud sky, which had become a tiny bit lighter. It wasn't a refreshing morning. All that could be heard was the sound of the rain, which had kept falling since last night, and the howl of the wind. It's hard to imagine that it's morning. This horrible weather reflects our hearts. Attenzione però, Jover! È sopravvissuta! È sopravvissuta, Kyrie! Then I'll say it's pretty gentle, considering. We should count ourselves lucky it's rain that's falling and not spears. Whether it's rain or spears, bring it on, I say. Huh? It's already 6 o'clock. Isn't this enough? Can't do much until the mystery 19th person Beatrice takes action. That's correct. However, I believe we have thought of almost every trick they could use against us. Yes. As long as a traitor doesn't appear among us siblings, we should be able to deal with most situations. Sono stati svegli tutta la notte a fare piani di contrattacco contro Beatrice, quindi? Haven't we talked about this enough? We ended up staying up all night. I'm tired. You're right. How about taking a little rest after eating breakfast? A good plan. Staying up all night is tiring at my age. As they all stretched, they enjoyed this unrefreshing morning as best as they could. Let's go wash our faces or something. I probably look horrible. Un secondo. Un attimo. Ok, no, niente. O mi sembrava di aver sentito la porta, qualcuno che bussava alla porta, ma niente, me lo sono immaginato. Perché fra un po' dovrebbe venire mia madre che mi porta il caffè per tenermi sveglio. What is this horrible stench? As soon as they exited into the corridor, Kiria made an openly disgusted expression. What's the matter? Hey, don't you smell something awful? Ah, deve essere Kinzo, che gli ha dato fuoco. No? What is this stench? It's unbearable. Because of that fuss, everyone stuck their heads out into the corridor. It was a faint stench, but after the complaints, they clearly noticed it. Each of them went into the corridor, relying on their own sense of smell to tell them where this strange odor was coming from. What in the world could it be? Let us have Genji deal with it. I believe we should already have arrived in the servant room. He should have already have arrived in the servant room to begin the morning preparations. Please. It is difficult to imagine that Goda, of all people, could be making a breakfast that would cause this kind of stench. Rudolf Group searched for the source of the smell and determined that it was coming from underground, from the boiler room. But the door was locked, and they couldn't check inside. Meanwhile, Natsui's group were on their way to search for someone in the servant room when they noticed something strange about the parlor. What is this? What a horrible prank! Who would do something like... E c'è, ti pareva. Drawn on the door to the parlor, in a paint that reminded one of blood, there was a strange magic circle-like thing. No one has come to the kitchen yet. What is this? Eva's group, who had thought the smell had been coming from the kitchen, had returned, having observed that no one was there and that the preparation for breakfast had not yet begun. And they noticed the unusual state of the parlor. It's no good. The boiler room is locked. Wouldn't it be bad if something's broken down in the boiler room? Was there a servant, anyone around? Is that vulgar graffiti here too? There was one on the door to the boiler room. What's that? This creepy graffiti isn't just here, but in other places as well? Don't you think this is the Witch of the Forest Beatrice declaration of war, right? Hideyoshi tried to make fun of it, but staring at this creepy magic circle while listening to the wind and rain really made it seem like it was a message from a witch. The dripping bright red paint made one think of blood, and it made things even more eerie. Hideyoshi tried to open the door, but it was locked. As a general rule, the parlor was never locked. Someone had gone out of their way to lock it. What does this mean? Did someone secretly leave this graffiti while we were talking in the dining hall? On the doors to the parlor and the boiler room? I'm sure the servants are behind this. They were together the whole time. We all have alibis. They probably did this prank on some strange orders from father. Considering the incident yesterday with Maria-chan's letter, it's more than possible to suspect that the servants are acting on Dad's orders and planning something. Where the hell is everyone anyway? They can't be playing hide and seek. Let's look for them. But before that, I'm worried about the children. They're alright, aren't they? I'll go and check, and while I'm there, I'll see if there are any servants there. Then let's split up. While you go to the guest house to see how the brats are doing, we'll check around inside the mansion. I don't want to think about it, but maybe these creepy magic circles aren't just where we found them. We might have become involved in a bizarre game of fathers. I will go to him and ask about the situation. Though I doubt he'll be good-natured enough. He'll be good-natured enough to listen to me. The adults split up. As the result, they confirmed that the 4 children were safe in the so-called cousins' rooms on the 2nd floor of the guest house. It appeared that they had stayed up late last night playing. All of them were snoring loudly, so Rosa decided not to wake them. Furthermore, Nanjo, who had returned early from the previous night to rest, was also alright. It seems he believed in the phrase early to bed, early to rise, and had awoken refreshed. During that time, Kiria and Hideyoshi searched for the other servants, but they didn't find them. The servants' room in the guest house was also empty. The children are alright. All of them stayed up too late last night. The servants' room is empty. I look at the shift chart and this morning shift was supposed to begin at 6. They should have been starting working by now. The nap room was also empty. There were signs that the futons had been used, but they aren't warm. You know what? I think Kraus Nissan and the others might fit on it, don't you? This is probably a game planned on Father's orders. I bet my bottom dollar he left those creepy scribbles and hid himself somewhere, trying to make us do something. Are you saying that he's trying to see who is fit to inherit his wealth and the family headship? Isn't that a bit... No. It might be strange if Father was behind something... No, it might not be strange if Father was behind something like that. After all, Father loves big tricks. He might have this plan brewing ever since the epitaph has been hung in the hall. In that case, I wonder whether he will make an announcement of the game or an explanation of it. It's also seems possible that another envelope with the crest might appear, like the one handed to Maria-chan. You're right. Maybe Nissan and the rest have found that in the mansion. Dr. Nanjo, have you heard anything? My apologies. I do not have any idea what is going on. And yet, yes, I see. I could easily imagine that Kinzo-san is planning something big. Why don't we go back to the mansion for now? Maybe they found something over there. I will not be in the way, I will come to. If I will not be in the way, I will come to. I'll stay here. The children are sleeping upstairs. We don't know what's happening. We can't leave them alone. Yes, you're right. I'll stay with Rosa-san and watch over the place. Would you tell that to my husband? Rosa and Kiria remained in the guest house. Hideyoshi went with Nanjo and returned again to the mansion. Meanwhile, in the mansion, unbelievably, or maybe we should say that bad feeling have a tendency to be right, Rudolph's prediction was right on. Because the same magic circle graffiti that had been drawn on the door to the boiler room and the parlor have been found in multiple other places throughout the mansion. Aniki, how's Dad? No good. There was no response at all. I tried putting my ear against the door, but couldn't sense anyone. Cannot find the servants anywhere. Where in the world did they disappear off to? This isn't funny. Father and the servants are hiding, and there are strange magic circles all over the mansion. What in the world is happening? There weren't the only magic circles on the door. No, there weren't only magic circles on the door to the boiler room and the door to the parlor. There were also 2 on the 2nd floor, 1 on the 3rd floor, for a total of 5. They were all of the same magic circle. All of the doors were locked, so they couldn't check inside. Anyway, let's do something about the boiler room first. It would be bad if some kind of breakdown caused a fire or an explosion. So we need a key. I believe there was a key box in the servant room. They fished through the key box in the servant room. Because each servant individually carried their own master keys around, those weren't kept there. However, all of the individual rooms' keys should have been there. It's so packed with keys. It isn't here. I've looked and looked, but I can't find the key to the boiler room. Look, Kaneki. Only the key to the rooms with those magic circles drawn on them are just neatly missing. It's true. How troublesome. It is as though someone doesn't want us to go in the rooms with the magic circles. No, they weren't. They went to all the trouble of making them obvious using the magic circles, so perhaps they want us to enter. I think it's the latter. Breaking down the door is probably impossible. I mean, this isn't a movie. Smashing a window might work. Kraus had a little trouble deciding whether this situation this was a situation that called for smashing a window. At that time, Hideyoshi and Nanjo returned. There was nothing strange in the guest house, and the children were safe. They told the others that Rosa and Kiria stayed to watch over the place. Good morning. I hear there's something strange has happened. Good morning, Dr. Nanjo. I apologize for waking you so early in the morning. What is it? Did you find a letter or something? I was sure you would have found something like that by now. You're right. I believe this is a massive joke or game of fathers. But if that was the case, there should be some letter telling us about that. Like the letter that was given to Maria-chan. What if the announcement of the game was actually Maria-chan's letter? The details of the game is trying to solve the riddle of the epitaph have been already shown. Then, what could the 5 magic circles we found in the mansion mean? And the missing servants? Natsuhine-san, how many servants were there total today? Genji, Goda, 5 of them, why? 5 servants, 5 magic circles. Maybe a coincidence, but it worries me. Nisa, let's break a window. We should check and see what's inside. We have no choice. Do it neatly. Kraus made his decision and gave permission to smash a window. And they decided that the first room they would break into would be the parlor on the first floor, where the windows would be easiest to reach. They had hoped to peek through the window, but the curtains were drawn so they couldn't see inside. Rudolph wandered around the garden trying to find something that would be good for smashing the glass. Eventually he found a rock bigger than a fist and came back. You don't have to smash the whole thing, just open it enough so you can reach the lock. Don't get your hopes up, alright? Rudolph raised the rock and hit the glass with it several times. E l'ha rotta. Before long, he succeeded in skillfully opening a hole big enough so that he could unlock it from the inside. Covering his head with a handkerchief, he stuck his hand through the hole and cautiously unlocked it. We should probably cover it up with duct tape later. The rain get blown in. When he threw the window open and the wind and rain made the curtain dance around violently, he swiped the curtains to the side so they could see the parlor they knew well. They were a little relieved, because they had thought that maybe the room would be filled with more bizarre magic circles, or possibly the traces of some creepy ritual. In any event, they didn't want to hang around in the rain, so the 6 of them, Kraus, Natsui, Eva, Hideyoshi, Rudolph and Nanjo, entered the parlor as a group. It seems that nothing particular is out of the ordinary. What has happened? Shannon! Are you alright? What happened to you? Blood! Blood! Dr. Anjo, take a look at this. Hey, Shannon-chan, are you okay? Answer me. You mustn't shake her. I will examine her condition now. She had been in the shadow of a sofa, so they hadn't noticed her until they entered the room. Shannon was lying on the floor, her chest stained bright red with blood. Hey, Butler, where are you? Look, Shannon's corpse has turned up, see? I won't bully you anymore, so come out. Oh, there you are. What are you doing holding your head in a place like that? Butler had his head pressed to the table and was clutching it with his hands. His pitiful figure had it plainly clear that he didn't want to see anything, didn't want to hear anything. So when he heard Beatrice's sneering voice, could he not hear, or was he pretending that he couldn't hear? In any event, it was clear that he had closed up his heart like a shell. I wonder if you have tormented him too much, milady. Esattamente quello che ha detto Jover. After showing him that much and demanding a counter-argument, I can understand why he wants to mope around. Hey, Butler. If you can't argue back, resign, would you? It's your turn. If you don't make some move or pass, or else give up, we won't get anywhere. What's that? I can't hear you. I said be quiet! Ah, shut up! Witches, magic, can't you just do what you want? I don't believe any of it. Damn it. Don't talk to me, don't show me anything. Go away, go the hell away. Get your goddamn annoying face away from me! Beatrice instinctively winced at Butler's sudden rage. Even if you say that, if you don't finish your turn, then my turn won't come. I feel like saying, don't make me too bored. You think I give a crap? Be quiet, shut up! I don't give a damn about your game. Can't take this bullshit. If your turn won't come until mine is finished, then you can just wait for all stinking eternity, can't you? I don't get it. I won't accept witches or magic. I won't accept something that fucked up. Wow. Okay. I said don't talk to me! Che è successo? I don't know what's what anymore. After being shown something that screwed up, how could I continue to resist? I wandered aimlessly through the rose garden. It was raining and windy, but that didn't mean my body got wet. There was just a feeling of isolation as I wandered amidst the wind and rain without an umbrella. Maybe I lost the game a long time ago. Actually, I wonder whether we hadn't reached a clear resolution in the previous game. After all, I had submitted to her for the time. So the world had been tinted with magic and witches. Right now, Rokkenjima is a different world, where witches stride around openly and fire off strange magic. It isn't a matter of accepting or denying it. Maybe I had mistakenly assumed that I was playing a game on an even footing with Beato, and already been defeated in the last game, and this may just be the singing ceremony of my surrender. Just now, a mighty battle had unfolded in the Rose Garden. I had seen it with my own eyes. I kicked the ground. Obviously, the ground was hard, and a puddle splashed. Several towers had split this ground, sprouting like high-rise buildings. The more I kicked the ground, the more it felt like it really couldn't be possible. But because of that, I couldn't explain it with anything other than magic anymore. I get the locked rooms with the keys shut up inside. They're probably just an extension of what you always see in detective novels. But that stuff, though. All that big flashy stuff. Darn it. It seems that my disciple has caused you much trouble. It's you. I was suddenly spoke to, so I turned around. And in the Rose Garden Arbor, there was the predecessor Beatrice, who Beatrice had supposedly defeated a short while ago. I was sure you died, so you were alive. No, I died. Now I am nothing more than a captured chess piece loitering outside chessboard. You're Beato's master, right? So in other words, you're a witch too? Yes, that is correct. So in other words, that means witches really do exist. And I'm the one I'm not the one who can defeat her. That'd be you, since you use awesome magic, wouldn't it? It's just useless now. There's nothing I can do anymore. Oh my, have you submitted completely? What do you mean submit? How the crap should I explain that? Towers sprouting and falling, huge giants holding shields and throwing spears. Just remembering it makes me feel like I'm going insane. Reasoning isn't worth a damn anymore, is it? We've left the level of tricks and explanations with human culprits. Oddio, scusatemi, mi sto addormentando, vaffanculo! Ah! Okay, allora, just remembering it makes me feel like I'm going insane. Reasoning isn't worth a damn, is it? We've left the level of tricks and explanation with human culprits. Ah, shit! Calm yourself. I am nothing more than a piece on that child's game board. After being removed from the board, I am no longer a being who can do anything. But you are that child's opponent, so as long as you do not give up by yourself, you will always have the power to strike back at that child. Weren't you also reciting strange spells and summoning towers and spears? What do you mean, strike back? Are you saying you'll teach me magic too? Tell me to fight her in one of those massive magic battles? If you wish, I could teach you a bit about magic. Oh, just what I wanted. Please, give me some awesome magic to smash your chest in one blow. Don't screw with me. I hear that in Japanese magic, there is a ceremony to pray for rain. Do you know of it? Rain ceremony? The thing where you throw stuff into the fire and offer a dance? That's not magic. The fire causes a thermal, and as a result, rain could gather. I'm pretty sure that's an accepted scientific phenomenon. Oh, I believe that was a form of Eastern magic. But it isn't magic. I believe that people offer sacred fire to the heavens, as well as a dance of respect, so that your entree for rain would reach the hearts of the gods. Maybe people did that long ago, but most occult things like that have a scientific explanation. Why do things burn? Isn't that because phlogiston is contained in the material? No, things burn because of oxidation reaction. Lavoisier abolished the phlogiston theory. Oh, why does heat transfer through objects? Isn't that because caloric is contained in the material? I'm pretty sure that was abolished by Joule. Heat is energy, not a substance. You have studied well. Your knowledge is correct. It's just some random facts. Phlogiston, caloric, and eventually ether and God's love. All are powerless before a scientific explanation. In the past, I was told that an apple falls from a tree thanks to God's love, so the humans would be given food. Even gravity was explained by God's love. Well, that's probably a leftover from a period where religion rather than science was used to explain everything. That is correct. In the past, humans called the limits of their knowledge, ignorance itself, magic. Just like the rain ceremony we were just talking about. Did the people of ancient times understand the science of fire giving rise to it to cause a thermal which calls forth clouds? Even without understanding, they at least knew of the result. That probably happened a lot. The wisdom of ancestors. Even without understanding the reason, through long experience they knew that they would obtain that result. Phenomena whose principle they didn't understand were probably the same thing as magic to them. Just like this person had just said, ancient people who didn't understand the principles had probably believed that through the rain ceremony their wish had reached the heavens and made the rain fall. To them that was certainly magic, as long as they didn't understand thermals. If you press a light switch and the light turns on, children do not know the scientific principles behind why the light bulb lights up. They press the switch knowing only the result. If they can obtain a result without knowing the principle, isn't that magic to them? That is pretty interesting. Well, logically that's true. For example, I don't have a clue why the brown tubes in the TV show a picture. However, I think it's completely normal for things to be displayed on the TV. Even if I don't understand the principles behind brown tubes, I at least know that if I push the switch, I can watch TV. It's exactly the same as having a rain ceremony without understanding thermals. In other words, if I don't know the principles, even a TV is the same as magic. No, could you say it is magic? Do you know how brown tubes are constructed? Have you ever taken one apart and looked inside? Nope. I think I read it about in a book or something once, but it was complicated and I didn't have a clue. I think that when the electrons hit a fluorescent material, it creates luminescence or something like that. That book was a fake. Actually, there are small people called gremlins shut up inside the brown tubes, and they do their job with magic. Huh? That's stupid, that's no way. How can you deny it if you have never looked inside a brown tube? I've never looked inside, but I can say with confidence that small people like that definitely don't exist. Since there's no brown tube here, that is impossible to prove. Yeah, it is impossible to prove right this very moment, but later I can take apart a TV somewhere and show you, and instantly win the argument. So, in other words, my magic theory that gremlins are shut up inside the brown tubes and display the picture with magic is impossible to disprove until we can verify the contents of the brown tube, correct? What the hell? One of those? Are you trying to say it's a devil's proof? That's your favorite trick, you witches. The devil's proof is sophistry exploiting the impossibility of proving a negative fact. However, it is different from what I'm talking about with brown tubes. That could be resolved just by taking apart a single television. You're right. It really isn't a devil proof. The scientific theory you propose and the magical theory I propose. One of those is the truth. And which one is it that can be ascertained as soon as you look inside the brown tube? However, until the instant that happens, we cannot deny each other's theories. So, despite the fact that there is only one truth, until the moment you look into the brown tube, two conflicting truths can exist at the same time. A bizarre space where two truths, of which only one is permitted to exist, may exist simultaneously. Is the cat in the box alive or dead? If you open the box, you will know the answer. You will know the truth. However, until you open the box, you can claim that the cat is alive, and you can also claim that the cat is dead. Each of the two parties make a claim that according to them is the correct truth. Even though the two sides are conflicting, neither can win an argument as long as the box remains unopened. In other words, two truths can exist at the same time. Even though there can only be one cat in the box, it is packed with a living cat and a dead cat in a strange parallel world. Ho letto a mente il tuo commento, Jover. Non commento sopra il tuo messaggio fino a che non finiamo questa piccola parte. That is what Rokkenjima is now. This island is now a different world where a science theory and a magic theory exist at the same time. To a resident of the world of science, such as yourself, at a glance it may feel as though this island has been sucked off into the world of magic. While that may be correct, it is not accurate. Strictly speaking, it has moved from the world of science to a midway point between that world and the world of magic. So at a glance, it appears to you as though the world is tilted towards the magic side. But actually, this island is now in a perfectly impartial position with relation to the two opposing worlds. I don't really get it. Midway between reality and magic. A perfectly impartial world. How is that? Hasn't everything been going really bad for me the whole time? Then perhaps you could think of it this way. This is a trial. Think of it as a court where you and Beatrice are laying out opposing claims. We could describe it as a brown tube trial. The child claims that there are tiny people inside the brown tubes, and she explains about the lives of tiny people, what they look like, what type of magical power they have, and so on. And you? Well, I study in a library and argue back by explaining how brown tubes are constructed, I guess. Azoin! Ma ciao! Ma grazie mille del ride, Azoin! Wow! Buonasera! Ciao Solti! Hello! Ciao a tutti! Ciao! Stavo dicendo. Well, I studied in a library and argue back by explaining how brown tubes are constructed, I guess. At that moment, both of your claim and that child's claim exist in the court at the same time. If you lend an ear to that child's claim, you may hear it as though it were the truth. See as though it were the truth. That is precisely what you were shown. Tante altre. At this moment on Rokkenjima, witches and magic certainly might exist as truth. However, that world is an uncertain wave function, existing only until the moment when the cat box is opened. All states can be justified simultaneously. However, there is only one truth. That is collapsed by observation. And countless truths are weeded out to become the truth. It is like when in court, the judge makes his judgment. The two truths from the prosecutors and the defense's claims collapse by the judgment and become one. So, to say it in your words, this island right now is the world right before looking into the brown tube, right? Therefore, neither the science theory nor the magic theory can be denied. And since they cannot be denied, both can exist as truth. That is why both witches and magic can exist. However, at the same time, your opinion which denies them can also exist simultaneously as truth. It is a world where two conflicting things can exist at the same time. And it is a world where the conflicting truths cannot disprove each other. Is it starting to make sense to you? In other words, no matter how much awesome magic Beato shows me, that is only a claim from the magic theory, and it doesn't disprove mine. So it's like, no matter what kind of magic Beato shows me, in this world that cannot become proof that magic exists. That's right. The child will probably even try to explain an apple falling from a tree with magic. The child might shake a staff and pluck an apple with magic and claim that she dropped it to the earth. However, that would be nothing more than another one of her claims. None of her claims can block your opportunity to make a claim. In this sense, this world is quite impartial to both sides. I get it. Still, by that argument, even if I show a sound argument with my science theory, all it will do is collide head-on with her magic theory, and I can't win against her either. Furthermore, there won't be any final judgment unless we peek into the brown tube. Where is the brown tube in this world? It means there's no reason for us to argue. Would it be alright if we just get along and peeked into the brown tube? If there really is a tiny person in there, I suffer total defeat. Otherwise, I win. Why do we have to hold this debate without looking into the brown tube? Oh? Alex? Grazie mille del follow! Thank you! Grazie! Scusami. Tanto piacere, grazie. Ok. Is there really okay, if there really is a tiny person in there, I suffer total defeat, otherwise I win. Why do we have to hold this debate without looking into the brown tube? That itself is the game, which that child has challenged you to. Perhaps instead of a court, I should use chess as an example. Victory and loss is not determined by a judge. You two are fighting... Mamma mia. You who are fighting will decide it yourselves. Can you win an argument with an opponent in a screwed up world where multiple truths can exist at the same time? But do you not realize, in point of fact, you were beaten in an argument and you are here right now submitting? That is all I can... aspetta un attimo. Giover, hai capito cosa intende dire? Perché è un po' convoluted, ma se vuoi posso fare il riassunto e spiegartelo bene. Cioè, spiegartelo in maniera un po' più diretta. No, diretta non è la parola giusta. Parola un po' più concisa, ecco. E se hai qualche... Anzi, piuttosto, fammi una domanda se non hai capito. Vedo se posso risponderti. Beh, intanto leggo. That is all the advice I can give you now. If you wish, I can occasionally give you an advice. Sure. Thanks. That really helps. I'll avenge you. Huh? Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. What's your name? Beatrice used to be my name, but now that I have surrendered it, I do not have a name. So I shall take a temporary name. Virgilius. No. What about Virgilia? Virgilia? Valkyria? Wasn't that the name of a legendary goddess? No. It means the one who is a guide to Beatrice. I will guide you to the child who waits. Mamma mia. No, it means the one who is a guide to Beatrice. I will guide you to the child who awaits you at the summit of Mount Purgatory. It should be a fitting name for that kind of guide. Beh, Alex, immagino tu sei appena arrivato. Siamo a quante? Siamo a qualche decina di ore di lettura. Quindi arrivare così. Sei più o meno a metà del terzo episodio, più o meno. E i primi 2 episodi sono durati circa 20 ore ciascuno. Quindi qua siamo più o meno già a 10 ore passate dentro questa storia. Quindi è un po' difficile riuscire a capirci qualcosa arrivando adesso. Mi dispiace, Alec. Giover, comunque dimmi, hai capito il discorso? Perché è fondamentale questa cosa. È la risposta alla tua domanda, a tutta la tua confusione dopo aver visto tutto il casino che è successo la live scorsa. To think that I accept help from a witch when I'm trying to deny witches. I see. If this is a contradictory world where 2 different claims can exist at the same time, that also works. It's almost funny. I'm borrowing the child's words, but you truly are like a phoenix. Your will to fight has already been revived. Come, if your heart is prepared, return to that child. Return to the chessboard that child is sitting at. I will look forward to seeing how far you can fight, my disciple. Yeah, just you watch. I won't listen to her babbling anymore. I'll coolly fight until the end. I definitely won't get provoked by her anymore. Then, let us return to the seat of the battle. Oh, Butler. Where did you hide yourself? I thought the sore loser wouldn't show himself again, you see? Sorry to have kept you waiting. I've cooled my head a little. And? Did you think of a response to that pleasant, thrilling, refreshing, highly acclaimed, wonderful fantasy battle between me and Master? Isn't that impossible to explain without fantasy? Milady, you have only promised to be kind and act refined. No, you've only just promised to be kind and act refined, remember? Oh, oops, my mistake. I just get in such a good mood when I see Butler's face, you see? Come on, come on, come on, come on then, Butler. That battle just now. How will you respond to it? Hmm? Battle? Did something happen? What? Where in this rose garden? Where are all those spears and towers you grew? Where have they all fallen to? They aren't here, are they? In other words, this is what we see inside the brown tube. Oh, senza neanche farlo apposta, ha fatto la stessa analogia. Inside the brown tube, you say? What in the world are you talking about now? In this very moment, there is nothing at all in this rose garden. Sure, towers may have been sprouting with magic a short while ago, but that's only until we learn what was inside the brown tube. It is your interpretation that it was a magical battle and there was nothing more than a claim. And that was nothing more than a claim. And the fact that there's nothing at all here right now is proof of that. This is how I argue back about the witches' battle just now. Right now, there isn't anything here that proves that, and that proves that nothing happened. You know, obviously I can't make a huge mess right here on the first twilight. And I do like that rose garden, you see. To prevent any damage, I fought inside a barrier. So it's only natural that it wouldn't have any influences on reality. That is your claim? Well, I guess that works. However, my claim is that at this point in time there is nothing in this rose garden, and therefore there was no magic, and therefore there was no magic, has not been abstracted in any way. Vabbè. Wait. Can you deny my magic with that mess? It is impossible to prove that magic does not exist. It is a devil's proof. The truth is this garden in this very moment. The instant you look inside, the tiny people inside the brown tube will vanish. And there are no traces of magic here at all. So that battle between you witches did not take place. That counter, that power, could it be? Have you forgotten, milady? It is the multi-planar word collapsion technique, the power of a finite witch, which is the pair of a power of which is the pair to the power of an endless witch. Only an endless witch would be able to withstand it, and it causes the strongest effect on an endless witch. Aspetta. Un attimo, l'ho letta malissimo. Have you forgotten, milady? It is the multi-planar world collapsion technique, the power of a finite witch, which is the pair to the power of the endless witch. Only an endless witch will be able to understand it, and it causes the strongest effect for an endless witch. Schrodinger's cat's box? Schrodinger's cat box. That old hag of a witch. What an uncalled for hint! We've lost time. With the fight's servant and grandfather, there are 6 corpses. Let me check the scene. I've been trudging along, wasting time. From now on, I'll speed things up, okay? Take a seat, Beatrice. It's finally the first twilight, isn't it? Let's start the real thing. Show me what you've got! Yay! Luke, tu ci sei ancora? Skirmish. Yay! Ok, cosa ne pensi di tutto questo, Luke? The adults' motivations aside, and at least for us kids, there were supposed to be a fun couple of days where the cousin deepened our friendship. However, when we have woke up, there was an unbelievably cruel reality waiting for us. Jessica. George. George, Aniki, and Jessica were crying over Shannon-chan and Canon-kun deaths. Right now, everyone who was alive was gathered in the lobby of the first room of the guest house. No, che non abbiamo mai visto, non ricordo di aver mai visto questo screen. There was the 12 of us. Unbelievable, right? There were 18 up until yesterday, and in one night, a third of that number had lost their lives. My agitation had finally settled down, and along with my lack of sleep from being woken up so early in the morning, I was beginning to feel like this was just a little unreal. I want to think that this is some kind of bad dream. My cheap escapism cannot tell me that was true over and over. Kept telling me, vabbè. Maria had gone back to sleep in the sofa Auntie Rosa was sitting on. Rather than her having nerves of steel, she probably genuinely hadn't had enough sleep. Attenzione! Attenzione, Rudolf Cialfero. The adults were grasping members of grandfather's collections of short barreled rifles, apparently a remnant from a period when he was obsessed by westerns. They were 4 identical guns altogether. Those had been split up between the 4 siblings: Uncle Kraus, Auntie Eva, my dad, and Auntie Rosa. Paper boxes filled with bullets laid on the table, and the siblings were silently loading up their guns. It's a little scary. Even as I stand here touching this, get the feeling Dad's about to yell, "Don't touch that!" and hit me. Oh, mamma mia, Kraus. Calmo. Then aren't you lucky? No matter how much you touch it, you won't be hit again. I can't believe it. That father would meet this kind of end. I did think that when it came to Kinzo-san, he would probably not die normally in his bed. But even so, it is too horrible. Hey, anche Eva adesso. I wonder if that's really his father's. I'm suspecting that it might be a different person corpse substituted to trick us. No, without a doubt, that is father. You saw his toes, right? In general society, there aren't many humans with 6 toes on both feet. But we can't say that there are none. I've heard that polydactyly isn't a rare disease. He was a man who liked big tricks, right? He might have prepared a body from somewhere that had the same number of toes on both feet. Preposterous. What would possess him to do something like that? I'd agree if he was a normal person, but it's his father we're talking about. You can't say for sure that what Kirie-san says is nonsense. They say it's difficult to confirm the identity of a burnt corpse. However, there should be various ways to examine him from his teeth and his bone structure. Stavo per dirlo io, si può fare coi denti, per esempio. If the police investigated, they'd be bound to know whose body it was in an instant. The problem is that before the police, we need a telephone engineer. The boat probably won't come in this typhoon, so we'll come tomorrow. I expect that the boat will come again at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Then I believe we will be able to contact the police. Both of us and the culprit have been imprisoned on this island then until the typhoon passes. Oh, that angle. Just from our parents' conversation, you could probably figure out the general gist, but let me explain the situation anyway. First, early that morning, in various places throughout the mansion, a total of 6 corpses of grandfathers and all the servants have been found one after another. First, grandfather had been fed to the flames in the boiler room and was completely burnt. The servants were found dead, each locked in one of the various rooms throughout the mansion onto which magic circles had been drawn. The causes of death for the servants were uncertain, but according to Dr. Nanjo's diagnosis, there was a high likelihood that they had been stabbed by something like a spear, or possibly shot by a gun. That's why the adults had started arming themselves with rifles. And what made the situation even more chaotic was that the telephone lines were out of order. It was unknown whether lightning had caused them to break down or whether the culprit had destroyed them. In any case, contact with the outside was broken off, and we couldn't contact the police. So until tomorrow morning, when the typhoon would pass and the boat would come, we would have to protect ourselves. After all, Rokkenjima was now isolated by the typhoon, and just like how we were stuck on the island, so was the culprit. It seems that the adults had stayed up the whole night, spending the whole time holding the family conference in the mansion dining hall. Even so, the crime had occurred in the mansion, so right when the adults were getting worked into a frenzy over money, the murderer had have been killing under the same roof. Aunt Natsui said they were strict on locking the doors and windows at night, and yet some suspicious person had entered the mansion. The adult had decided that inside of the mansion were too large. The adults had decided that the inside of the mansion was too large to be safe, so they have pulled out their guns and moved to the guest house where they had been. Which brings us to the present. George Aniki and us all begged to see Shannon's body, but the adults refused point blank, saying that we must not until the police arrive. That wasn't just because they had sealed all the rooms to preserve the scene. After all, the culprit had killed 6 people. After all, the culprit who had killed 6 people had wandered about that mansion. To the Ushiramiya family right now, the mansion, which should have been their home, was like a danger zone that an unknown murderer had entered. If that makes sense, I mean, the mansion is vast. Mamma mia, ma che problemi ho a leggere? It makes sense. I mean, the mansion is vast. There are plenty of blind spots and dark places, and it's just too vast to guarantee absolute safety with a number of people. In contrast, the guest house is much smaller than the mansion. 2 stories tall, number of rooms about 10. Apparently had originally been constructed to serve as a boarding house for when the island was to be turned into a resort. So it's easy to grasp the entire structure and easy to guarantee safety. That makes a good place to hole up. And there was an extremely high likelihood that the mass murder of 6 people is a game, because the culprit had proclaimed that in the letter. In a letter, I heard that a Western-style envelope with a family crest, just like the one Maria claimed, have been received Mamma mia, sono troppo veloce e mi perdo le parole. I heard that a Western-style envelope with a family crest, just like the one Maria claimed to have received from Beatrice yesterday, had been found in the boiler room where grandfather's corpse had been discovered. This was what the letter said. So, there will be no misunderstandings. The game I seek is whether or not you can solve the riddle of the epitaph, not whether or not you can catch me. If you do not solve the riddle of the epitaph, the pitiful sacrifice will further increase in number. It would be wise to spend your time solving the epitaph rather than search for me. If none can solve the riddle of the epitaph, no one will survive. If a person appears with skill enough to solve the riddle of the epitaph, I will give them all of the gold of the Golden Land, the Ushiromiya family headship, and all of my power. I was the one who succeeded the Ushiromiya family headship from Kinzo-sama, and I look forward to seeing who will receive the headship from me. Beatrice the Golden. The riddle of the epitaph was that thing. That strange epitaph written in the same place as the portrait of the witch displayed in the hall of the mansion. Grandfather was the one who ordered that to be written, and the person who have solved it would, supposedly, be given the family headship or the hidden gold or something like that. Ever since it was first displayed there several years ago, all the relatives, despite making fun of it in the open, have been secretly challenging that riddle in private. However, up until today, no one has solved it. We had once again been told to solve that unintelligible riddle, and this time we have been threatened that if we didn't solve it, we will all be killed. If this wasn't a game, what would you call it? The bold opinion was we should search the premises for the culprit. The bold opinion that we should search the premises for the culprit did not come up once. However, there was a good chance that they were armed, and there wasn't necessarily only one of them. And, while they might have been able to kill more than 6 people, they had stopped at 6. In the end, the opinion was that we should avoid carelessly antagonizing the culprit and hole up in a safe place while we waited for the police to arrive. Scusami? One out? Ah, ok. Ok, l'opinione di rimanere rinchiusi ha vinto. Ok. After the adults had carefully checked that the doors and the windows in the guest house were locked, they set up camp in the lobby. As they fingered their guns to distract themselves from the tension, their expressions showed that they were already fatigued from the long day, which had still barely begun. There was nothing that I could do. Now, all I could do was be taught how to use a gun, to prepare for the off chance that something would happen which led to an excess of guns. That's the way. Just obediently stay there, me and the rest of you. 6 people in the beginning again. At this time it's grandfather and all of the servants put together. Most likely, that child had carefully studied your moves from the last game, and she placed the highest priority upon taking the pieces which she guessed you were most likely to first suspect. That makes sense. Both last time and this time and the time before that, the servants who know everything about the mansion, who walk around with master keys, were always highest on the list of suspicious people. A good example is in the last game is Jessica's locked room. If I had only accepted that a servant was the culprit, that wouldn't even have been a locked room. Therefore, that child went straight for them. She probably immediately went to block the way of escape that you would immediately retreat into. Beato already proclaimed in red that there are no more than 18 people on this island. So basically, she's saying give it up. Now I have to suspect one of the 18. Eh sì, gente, dobbiamo farlo. Adesso. That child will probably come at you by stealing the pieces for the 18 and descending as the 19th person who shouldn't exist, thereby making you accept that she is a witch. That is because now that her intimidation strategy of trying to force you to submit by showing you magic has failed, she can only make a frontal attack. Perfect. Bluffing won't work anymore. Be careful. Deception is a witch's strongest point. No matter what that child says or shows you, it definitely won't threaten the truth that you believe in. Don't forget that. Sure. I'll be damned if the same moves are going to work on me over and over. Get out of there. Get out. No. Ah, get out here, ok, scusami. Get out here, Beatrice. Let's get started. Oh, answer. I am already seated at the table. My turn, too, is already complete. Imagine Madam would turn out to be... imagine that Madam would turn out to be our enemy. How unfortunate, milady. Our moves will be read thoroughly. That's no problem. Master moves are all outdated classics. There is nothing to fear. What moves can you make beyond the classics I taught you? I'm looking forward to seeing that, Beatrice. Is that right, Butler? If a person with a nice witches such as yourself accepts a witch as a strategist, that proves that stupid provocation is useless. This person is my advisor, no, my second. That doesn't change one bit that this is a fist fight between you and me. I understand. You're so wobbly that you probably need training wheels on your bicycle. Do as you like. Come, begin. It is your turn. Let's begin with the reconstruction of the crime scene. Mamma mia. Let's begin with the reconstruction of the crime scene. Virgilia, if you please. The first body discovered was Shannon's. She was found in the parlor on the first floor of the mansion. The door and the windows were locked, and a locked room was established. Clarification request for Beato. Reconfirm the definition of the locked room. The term locked room refers to a room where the inside and the outside of the room are completely isolated from all travel between them. Of course, no form of intrusion or escape, nor even an interference is possible. That is comprehensive, including a denial of hidden doors, as well as all margins for interference from the outside. Henceforth, this definition will be referred as Beatrice's locked room definition. Confirming specifics. Define margin for interference from the outside. It refers to all types of direct interference from the outside, such as using a fishing line or a long fin rod. In other words, you are to conclude that there is not even a gap in the doors or windows by which you can use such tricks. I wonder about that. Even if there wasn't a gap, you should be able to interfere with radio waves like a remote control, right? Very well. I add this definition that is impossible for radio waves and related methods of remote control to interfere. There's also an extension telephone in the parlor, a device linked with that wouldn't count as a remote control, right? The phones are already out of order, damn you. This is a pain. I'll include that too. All direct and indirect method of interfering from the outside of the mansion to the inside of the locked room are impossible. What about a voice or a knock? Doors should be able to interfere from the outside without entering the room, right? Even though it is a locked room, it probably isn't impossible for someone to knock or call out. Whether the room allows for human communication with the outside or not, it does not go against the definition of a locked room. In other words, you can define it so that even methods of communication are interrupted. That is the case. Understood. So Shannon's parlor satisfies Beatrice's locked room definition? That is correct. Locked room definition understood. Continue, Virgilia. Yes. Shannon's body was possession of one master key. The relatives who discovered her collected this. Repetition request for Beato. How many master keys this time? The same as last time. There are 5, one for each servant. which means this isn't a locked room. There are still 4 master keys left. It means that after Shannon-chan was murdered, one of the other 4 keys locked it. That is correct. And if it wasn't only a master key that was found? Yes. Alongside the body, there was a western envelope with a family crest. Instead of a letter, the key to the second floor guest room was inside it. The key to the second floor guest room? Am I fine to define that as the only other key other than the master keys that can open the door to the second floor guest room? Indeed, there is no problem. And unlike the master keys, there is only one. In other words, to unlock a specific room in addition to the 5 master keys, there is only one other key. In other words, this is a message telling them to go to the second floor guest room next. So the adults moved to the second floor guest room. Yes. The door to the second floor guest room was also locked, and a magic circle was drawn onto it. The relatives unlocked it with the key that they found near Shannon's body. Inside the room, Kumasawa's body was discovered. The room was a locked room. The definition is based upon Beatrice locked room definition. Kumasawa was in possession of one master key. The relatives collected this. And like Shannon, there was a western envelope discovered alongside her. Inside, there was a key to the 3rd floor servants' quarters. The relatives moved to the 3rd floor servants' quarters. And there was a magic circle on the door to the 3rd floor servant quarters, and the door was locked. Yes. Inside the room, Goda's body was discovered. The room was a locked room, based on Beatrice locked room definition. Goda was in possession of one of the master keys. The relatives collected this. And just as before, a western envelope with a family seal was discovered. Inside it was the key to the second floor VIP room. The relatives moved to the second floor VIP room. What is all of this? What the hell are you planning? Isn't it something worth glaring me? It isn't something worth glaring at me over, is it? It is a locked room, but there are still several master keys that can open it, correct? And I have even been dutiful enough to present you with the keys particular to each room in addition to the master keys. I don't like how this is going, but I'm starting to see how things will turn out. So it continues like this for all 6 people? Yes, that is correct. Inside the second floor VIP room, Genji's body was discovered. One master key was collected. The key to the underground boiler room was discovered. They moved to the underground boiler room. Inside the underground boiler room, Kinzo's body was discovered. And the key to the chapel was discovered. They moved to the chapel. Inside the chapel, Cannon's body was discovered. One master key was collected. Inside the key was the first floor parlor. The key to the first floor. Inside the chapels, Cannon's body was discovered. One master key was collected. The key to the first floor parlor was discovered. With this, our reconstruction of how 6 bodies were discovered is complete. A supplement. Along with the key to the chapel, a letter was enclosed in the western envelope found near Kinzo's body. The contents of the letter were as you saw. It further urged the relatives to solve the epitaph's riddle. In that case, what's going on? In the last place where Kanon-kun was, at the key to the very first room, the parlor where Shannon-chan was. That makes 6 locked rooms, all tied together, right? That is correct. The 6 locked rooms are all tied together. The keys to unlock each of them are all shut up in the next room. In other words, the 6 locked rooms form a one massive locked room, and all of the master keys as well as the individual room keys are shut up inside it. Furthermore, all of the doors and windows in the 6 rooms are normal. No device exists which can lock them without a key, such as an auto-lock. What do you think? It's beautiful, isn't it? As I said, milady, that is not dignified. When Ronove rebuked her, Beato stuck her tongue at him shamelessly. Oh, sorry. I just get in such good mood playing with Butler. So, Butler, what is your move going to be? If you can think of anything in particular, I can show you how I made the goat carry the bodies and sealed all of the rooms with magic, if you want. Do what you want. I'll listen respectfully to this magic theory that you assert. However, I can assert my human theory, which is completely different from your claim, without any interference from your claim whatsoever. So, in other words, there is no need for me to listen to your bullshit. Go wave your magic stuff or whatever as much as you like, and act out how you lock the doors with your 7-colored magic. And before long, I'm sure there'll be people along to stand beside you, advertising their snake oil and all-purpose kitchen knives. Virgilia, reconstruct the crime scene. I'll search for a weakness. Were they all definitely dead? If none of them is just plain dead, this isn't a locked room at all. Nanjo checked all of them were dead. However, due to the devil's proof, it is impossible to deny the possibility of a wrong diagnosis. In other words, she cannot make that likelihood that Nanjo overlooked the fact that they were alive equal to 0. Here it is, that devil proof. But there exists a sword which can carve that up. What are you people doing? Looks like you're having a good time leaving me out of the discussion. I'm their opponent, right? They could pay attention to me at least a little. By nature of communication with the opponent, it is not necessary in order to compete in chess. Aspetta. By nature, communication with the opponent is not necessary in order to compete in chess. You spoke in riddles when you communicate outside your moves, milady. Perhaps it has come to this because it does not want you to be. It does not want to be led astray. Mu, ha detto mu. Beatrice ha detto mu. For some reason, I can't accept it. You are challenging him to a chess match, are you not, milady? That's true, but. Mu, ha fatto mu di nuovo. Beatrice puffed out her cheeks, and as though saying, I don't know why, but I don't like it. Because the police has not yet arrived at the scene, the human side ability to prove things is limited. For a strict confirmation of death, I would recommend a repetition request. Alright, this is where I'll strike. Repetition requested. The 6 victims are all dead. Milady, you have a repetition request waiting, you know? Hey, enough lazing around. Do you decline the repetition? This is where our battle starts. Ma che suono ho fatto? Oh. Sorry, that's fine, I respond. Kinzo, Genji, Shannon, Kanon, Goda, and Kumasawa. These 6 are all dead. Tra l'altro mi vede. Ah, c'è anche questo da leggere, tra l'altro. Ok. Coda. Canon. Shannon. Kumasawa. Genji. E Kinzo. Discovered as a burned corpse from the incinerator in the underground boiler room. As there were no signs that he fought to get out of the incinerator, it would seem reasonable that he was burned after he was murdered. Too bad this time came over right at the very start. Corpse discovered in the second floor VIP room. The murder weapon is assumed to be a gun or a spear-shaped object. In appreciation of his many years of service, Genji shall be permitted to sleep in the VIP room. Vabbè. For Shannon the parlor, whose view of the rose garden was beautiful on sunnier days. The chapel for Canon, even after death, kept on protecting the place most important to the Lord. He wanted to gain Kinzo's favor. The room next to the study is appropriate for him. The seldom used guest room of the second floor was their secret napping spot. Why are you so out of it? Alright. So I've drawn one out of you. That classic where they're pretending to be dead is the first thing to be denied. I won't go easy on you anymore. Come at me how you like. I'll slide them slantwise one after another. Once again, repetition requested. No one is hiding in any of the 6 rooms. Show me that you can deny the existence of all people we aren't aware of. I respond. There is no one hiding in the 6 rooms. Alright. Now I'm sure that there's only the 6 of them canned in there, and they aren't pretending to be dead. What will you do? What will you do? There's already nothing a human could do. Obediently kneeling and observe as I control the locks at will with my wonderful magic, alright? Quit babbling. Another repetition request. The 6 deaths were instant. Instant death? What do you mean by that? It means that there is a possibility that a single victim on the verge of death managed to escape into the room, and after locking it from the inside to create a locked room, they passed away. A classic locked room murder. In the case that the victim is dealt a fatal wound and is doomed to die at some later time, it is possible for the victim to hole up inside the room to escape the murderer and then die after locking it, in which case a locked room could be constructed unexpectedly. In order to deny that possibility, you will need to proclaim that all 6 died instantly with the red truth. Very well, very well. I'll slay you with my red treasured sword. The 6 died instantly. By instant death, I mean that as soon as they were attacked, they became incapable of action. Well, death in its soulful meaning may have taken several seconds or even minutes, but in any event, it was completely impossible for them to take any action of their own will. In that sense, I can state that they died instantly. Everything up until now has just been checking for a classic locked room. My showdown with you over the locked room starts now, alright? If the culprit isn't on the inside, they are on the outside. So they somehow killed them from outside the rooms. Have you lost your mind? Isn't it Isn't it true that a locked room equals murder is impossible from the outside? Therefore, it's impossible for it to be anything other than a magical murder. No, that's wrong. That's right. The right thing to say is a murder really happened equals it isn't a locked room. No matter how much you speak in riddles, this definitely isn't a locked room. It's a sham that can only look like a locked room. However, Battle-sama, only the victims are inside the rooms, and no other people exist inside the rooms. And by Milady locked room definition, remote murders from the outside the room have been clearly denied, have they not? Wait, the definition of remote murder is vast, right? Sure, there's stuff like pulling a fishing line from outside the room and strangling the victim from inside the room, but that's not all there is. For example, a trap, perché ho detto trappo? A trap would make for an excellent remote murder. A trap? What is that? Just as an example, let's say that we're instructed to enter a previously decided rooms and lock the doors from the inside to create a locked room themselves. A trap is set up in those rooms that they don't know about, and they were killed by that. How's that? There's no contradiction. There is no problem. It corresponds to the existing state. There is no problem on our side either. It does not conflict with Milady's locked room definition. What's with that stupid reasoning? Nothing suspicious was found in any of the rooms, you know? What form did that trap have? Was it hidden, and how does it operate? Where was it hidden and how does it operate? Explain that for all 6 people in the parlor, in the guest room, the servants' quarters, the VIP room, the boiler room, and the chapel. Well, you can't you? Decline refutation. There is no need for me to explain that. Even so, it doesn't damage my claim. Ciao Chippy. What did you say? Beatrice? It is a devil proof. The fact that he cannot explain the form of the trap does not itself disprove that there was a trap. Well done. While overbearing, a wonderful move. This guy is getting completely used to this. Check. It is possible to establish this locked room murder via murder trap X, and that they couldn't find. I'll kill that check with the red truth. The 6 were not killed by traps. The definition of a trap? One of those, something that activates when a victim gets caught in it by their own actions. That's not all. Stuff that activates by a remote control or by a timer. Everything like that is also included. All devices that can carry out a murder without the direct participation of the person who set it up. I believe that definition may be appropriate. How's that? I've struck back. As though I could let a human defeat this locked room. You're also frantic, trying to win, huh? What? What do you mean? You're also frantically fighting to make me accept that you exist. Till now, I thought that I was just being toyed around with one-sidedly by you. But I was actually wrong. You're also frantically resisting my comeback, fighting to show that you exist. Now, I finally really feel that's true. This isn't torture inflicted on me about whether I'll submit or not. This is a fight between you and me on an even footing. Alright, it's starting to get interesting, is it? Isn't it? 6 people died in locked rooms, and no one else was inside. And there was no meddling from the outside, and also no traps. If I was still how I used to be, I would probably think this had to be the work of magic. And if you had acted out some strange magic right about now, I probably even had surrendered. It is that favorite strategy of yours. You completely intercept all of my moves, and in the moment that you've tried everything and have fallen to my knees, when my heart's defensive power is at its weakest, you show off some strange magic and take the game all at once. She has always had a short temper. She still has that bad habit of rushing things when victory is still in sight. Because Milady cannot stand putting things off. Hey! Shut up! Shut up! It is your turn, Butler. That trap piece that you advanced, I've cut it down with red. What will you send out next? Show me what you've got. Right. Now that even traps have been defeated, at a glance this looks like a perfect locked room murder. And that's why this is where I flipped over the chessboard. Dai con Kyrie. Here it is, your special technique. What exactly are you going to flip over and how? Try showing me. Yeah, I'll show you. It's not about thinking on how to kill 6 people inside locked rooms from the outside. Yeah, that's no good. No good. Not goddamn good at all. That's right. It's not about how to kill from the outside. It's about how they died inside the room and created a locked room. That's it. That's the answer. If you assume that one of the 6 victims was the culprit, the locked room can be explained extremely easily. What? Wait. I believe I clearly say in red that the 6 of them were dead. 6 people did die. 5 were victims who were killed. If you assume that the other person committed suicide, you can destroy this locked room. Certainly. If the culprit locked themselves into the final locked room and threw away their own life, this locked room change would be established. The culprit's suicide. Normally this is an unthinkable move, but the argument that it doesn't exist because it is unthinkable doesn't exist. And he has no responsibility to demonstrate a motive. A truly powerful move, which can only be used in a chess match against a witch. Well, you cannot say for certain that there is no motive. For example, Kinzo had pronounced as having only a short time left to live. The motive of using his own death as a message, not being afraid to lose his own short remaining life, may not be impossible to attach. Milady, it is our turn. To imagine that you would even trample on the dignity of the dead to create a culprit. What a heartless, cold-blooded man! Setting up the dead as a culprit. This move is worse than inhuman, and it is one you used to attract Canon-kun in the last game. I'm taking a shot back at you with this move, as a tribute to Canon-kun for that time, even though the games are different. Just now, I have freed that Canon-kun from his regrets. You have no duty to hold back here. You should check whether suicide was the cause of death for any of them. I recommend requesting a repetition. Right. But suicide is a naive word that won't corner her. Beato, this is the end! Io devo impararlo a dire Fushoryu. Non lo so. Repetition requested. The 6 deaths were all homicides. This is painful. What's wrong? 6 people were killed, right? I'm just checking that the simple premise we have I'm just checking the simplest premise we had at the very beginning, aren't I? Can't you repeat it? I decline to repeat. There's no reason in particular. Refusing to repeat this is the same as resigning, you know? Checkmate! One of the 6 was the culprit, and they carried out a suicide after constructing their own locked room. We're done. Wait, no. I'll say it. I'll say it. I'll use the red like you want. None of the 6 committed suicide. How's that? You satisfied? I've struck back. I've struck back. What the hell? So you can say it. But isn't that weird? Why are you so panicked? It's just your imagination. I'm also frantic this time, you see? Don't have much leeway. Don't pay it no mind. The repetition you requested had been modified. Do not be fooled. It seems it was useless, milady. That's right. You didn't say that the 6 deaths were all homicides. She changed it to none of the 6 committed suicide. Which means that one or more of the people who was not killed by someone else and didn't commit suicide. I've got it, I've got it! This is the truth! After culprit X, who lurks among the 6, murdered the other 5, they constructed a locked room. Then they planned to escape from or hide in that room by some method. However, there was an accident. The culprit died from an accident that even they hadn't expected, and reconstructed a locked room that even they hadn't desired. Now it's over, Beatrice. Checkmate. Damn it! Did you think I would be cornered by something like that? I would never scream my resignation over something like that. I sliced up that foolish checkmate with my red treasure sword over and over. Among the 6, there were... My apologies. Our size requests some time to strategize. Please allow us a brief postponement. It is a just request. I believe there should be no problem. Sure, I'll allow that. I've been given those a lot lately. This time is your turn to use it. Thank you very much. Come, milady, this way. And let us quietly count the 100 inside our heads. As Beato grew thoroughly panicked and agitated, Ronove had quickly covered her mouth with his hand and suspended the game. He then pulled Beato away in the name of a strategy conference. Curse that demon butler. When Beato got all hot, that was an ideal chance to corner her. Beato normally behaves elegantly, but she actually has a really short temper and gets mad easily. Her normal intelligence falls silent when she starts getting agitated. Ronove is composed. He probably gave that child some time to cool her head off. To cool her head, basta. That child was stubbornly trying to remove your check and was going to easily let several large pieces go. After all, the first twilight is only a skirmish. That child mistook her timing. So, what does that mean? Did I create a checkmate or didn't I? That child was going to proclaim it in red. It probably wouldn't have been a checkmate yet, but I imagine that child will proclaim her resignation while she has cooled her head. Surely not. Even though she hates losing. Yes. In a losing battle, it is essential to withdraw your troops as soon as possible to try and minimize your losses. The difficult part is measuring whether it is a losing battle or not. It seems that child's butler calmly made that decision. Oh well. In other words, she got away with only a second to spare. Looks like I won't be getting checkmate and delivering the final blow so easily. However, you should measure this as your victory. They seem to just have barely prevented a large loss, but without a doubt, you dealt considerable damage. I'm sure you were able to understand well the depths of that wound by watching the way she panicked. Seriously. It feels like she'll start crying if I bully her any more than that. As we talked, Ronova returned to Beato, who wore a meek expression. She did not have the same bold smile as usual, but it looked like the blood wasn't rushing to her head anymore. Hey, it's your turn. Did you decide your next move? I resign. For now, I will let you have your victory. Beato told me frankly. It seemed as though she had taken a far-sighted view, as though saying, if you want to laugh, then laugh. It was a bit of a buzzkill, but I lost my desire to attack her further. Well, now that you've resigned, in the end, all that means that we are even, since my theory and yours can't deny each other. I'll treat it more like a tie than a loss. I don't need your disgusting compassion. I'll say it this time, it is my loss. When you find a dog drenched with rain, are you inclined to whack it with a stick or something? No, unlike you. Even though she ridiculed me horribly when I showed signs of defeat, she was so pathetic when it was her turn. I thought of her as a pretty unfair person, but I decided to act with dignity as a winner and accept it. Beato had resigned. That was the only result of the first twilight. Beatrice couldn't counter my move of one of the 6 was the culprit and that person died in an accident. No, she probably could have countered it, but because of some strategic decision, she had given up. I feel like I had won, but more or less she had escaped me one step from victory. In chess against witches, it is possible to battle onwards solely using pieces called X, which don't need an explanation. Thanks to the devil's proof, I can create as many strange fictions as I want and use them to fight in the argument. And that's solely within the context of chess with a witch. In our human world, such an abstract theory can't explain anything. The first twilight today was a chain of 6 locked rooms. It certainly may be possible for a human, but Beato hadn't been able to completely deny everything. However, I don't have a clue who committed the crime, why and how they actually did it. I shouldn't say this having won, but I get the feeling that I would have felt less muddled if I'd just been told right away that by Beatrice that it was completely impossible for a human. E questa era tosta, cioè Butler è stato molto intelligente in questo caso. Although I hide behind these abstract pieces called X, I couldn't deny that some kind of unthinkable, creepy intention had definitely pervaded this mansion. Hai fatto anche questo. The Key to the Golden Land. 9 di mattina di domenica 5 ottobre 1986. The true enemy of holding a fort probably isn't the fear of unseen enemies, it's whether you can keep it going over for a long period of time. Maria had gotten bored and had started making a ruckus because she wanted to watch TV. Since there was no TV in the lobby, she decided to return to the cousin room upstairs. The adults probably didn't want to leave Maria all on her own among other reasons. They told all the children to go to the cousin's room upstairs. George, his heart wounded by the loss of his fiancée, had no willpower to resist that and led the cousins upstairs. At first, Nanjo had been reading a book in the lobby, but when he noticed that all the relatives looked like they wanted to talk about something shady, he said, "It seems I am in the way," and returned to his room upstairs. I'm starving. If I keep just sitting around, my drowsiness will even be worse. It's only natural, because we didn't sleep last night. We will probably end up barricading here for full 24 hours. Maybe wiser to take nap in turns instead of overstressing ourselves. I agree. My husband and I will be here, so anyone who finds this difficult should rest without overdoing it. They might be expecting that, you know. They may not be able to defeat this many people, but if that number was reduced by a certain amount, they may plan to use that to their advantage. There are 7 of us here. 2 of us could rest for 3 hours at a time. It's a long time until tomorrow morning. We still have some energy now, but tonight's going to be tough. Sure will be. Anyone sleepy? Don't overdo it. Rest. Hideyoshi looked around at everyone to see who wanted to sleep first, but no one volunteered. Everyone was just as tired, but no one was bold enough to be able to go to sleep now. Their fears of the unknown culprit was just as strong as their sleepiness. Nobody? Well, don't overdo it, everyone. If we get tired, we can think about it then. I certainly am tired, but I'm not in the mood now. Eva spoke sharply and then read once more over the second letter from Beatrice, which had been found in the boiler room. Beatrice had sent 2 letters and had repeatedly told them to solve the riddle of the epitaph. And she had even provoked them by saying she would give up the inheritance, both assets and headship, if it could be solved. Eva took out a notebook and opened it to a page with the epitaph copied onto it. Is that the epitaph? Yes. Although it's annoying to do as the culprit says, after all, we do have time to waste. Puoi vedere qui sotto, CP, sotto di fianco alla chat in basso a sinistra. I think it's the perfect way to stave off boredom. Not a bad way to kill time. Why don't we challenge it together as siblings? Can I borrow that? I rewrite it just a little larger. Natsu-san, do we have a slightly larger piece of paper? There should be paper in the servant room. I will bring some. Natsu immediately bought a B4 blank sheet of paper from the servant's room. Kirie borrowed Eva's notebook, wrote out the epitaph on the paper, and laid it out on the table. Straight away, everyone peered down at it. A fence of people naturally formed. I've heard about it, but really, this is a tough riddle. I don't have a clue what he's talking about. At one point, I also did my best to challenge it, but I was clueless. If we did know, we wouldn't have come all the way here with a plan to make money. After all, it's 10 tons of gold. This is the first time I read it seriously, but roughly speaking, couldn't it be split into 3 parts? Adesso, tra l'altro, gente, se ci pensiamo, è dal primo episodio che nessuno si mette lì seriamente a cercare di risolverlo. Ci avevano provato un pochino i ragazzi in episodio 1, poi in episodio 2 è stato completamente ignorato, e adesso lo stanno riprendendo. I've been thinking this since last night, but you really do seem to be a good thinker, Kirya-san. It's possible that you could easily solve this riddle that we couldn't. Yeah, Kirya's sharp. She might be able to tackle it in an interesting way if we don't give her any strange preconceptions. Yes. Kirya-san, will you let us hear your honest thoughts having read the epitaph? I think it probably won't be very useful to all of you. You all give me too much credit. No way. Anything that comes to mind would be helpful. Let us hear what you have to say. Because your hints always help me when I'm worried. Oh, so they were helpful. It's nice to finally be here about. It is nice to finally hear about this now. Come on, don't I always thank you? You two do get along well. Jealous. And the rest of us would also love to accept your hints. It's alright, we are just killing time anyways, so why not relax? Kirya was bewildered by all this praise she was suddenly receiving, but they had plenty of time. She realized that this was just a way to waste time, and she decided to accept that role. Adesso Kirya lo risolve e diventa capo della famiglia, sì. I'm sure I'll say something off the mark, but, well, I'll put forward my ideas. What did you mean in the beginning about how, roughly speaking, it could be divided into 3 parts? Oh, eccolo. Well, I mean just what I said. I think that overall the epitaph can be divided into 3 parts. The first are the first 5 lines up to and including the key to the golden mamma mia. There the key to the gold sleeps. Quindi voi non vedete la mia freccia, ma ok, fino a qui è la quinta riga. Up until this point is the first part, which points to the location of the key. Ah, ok, lo mette in evidenza. And then there's the part formed by the 11 lines up until the 10th twilight, which refers to the location of the golden land itself. And the remaining 6 lines make up the part after the golden land have been reached. Belli questi colori, mi piacciono. I see. The key, the golden land, and the golden land treasure it can be divided into 3 parts. Even we have been able to grasp that much. The 3 sections that refer to the key, the door, and the treasure. Nii-san, don't butt in any more than you have to. Let Kirya-san speak ideas freely. Kirya, please continue. We recognize the same things regarding what you said. So, then? I wonder what that thing in the beginning, the beloved home of old, means. Thinking about it normally, would it refer to grandfather's home? Since he explicitly mentioned that it's beloved, I can imagine that it's a home he thought about very deeply. Didn't father come from Odawara? Odawara is definitely where he was born, but I don't think this home father loved was Odawara. I believe all of us siblings are thinking of the same place. Yes, this probably isn't Odawara. From what I've heard, he had a very fun time as a youth. That greatest misfortune in his life was probably being made Yoshiromi a family head. Probably. Father really hadn't wanted to become the Ushiromi family head. So where is it? And is there a river where sweet fish swim? Maybe there was at the time. I'm sure that there had been a lot of development there by now, so sweet fish might have disappeared. It would be extremely difficult to investigate whether there were sweet fish there during the time grandfather was a boy. There's not just one river either. I believe we investigated thoroughly in a geographical sense. You even went to the actual place to investigate directly, didn't you, Eva? That was only a vacation, but the townscape had changed completely from Father's time. After all, there was a war in between. It was impossible to even figure out where Father actually lived. Probably even Father dragged himself to the actual location. By now, even he wouldn't be able to determine where it was that he lived. They had a remarkable revival over there after all. Doesn't any place name come clearly to mind after hearing Sweetfish River? Not really. I mean, there's sweet fish, right? People say they live in rivers with clean water, so there are countless rivers we could guess at. Any stream that innocently went sweet fish fishing in was probably buried in the development later. It would probably be different if we had a map from before the war, or a person who knew about a lot how the area was before the war, but probably isn't something like that. What do you mean? Behold the Sweetfish River running through my beloved home of old. You who seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. After these two lines, there's a single blank line. Something is being presented with just those two lines. I would suppose the next three lines continue based upon that something. I wonder what is that being presented then? I don't know. In any case, after these two lines, it's not something vague like you don't know which river it is. You're able to narrow it down and say specifically what river. It may be that this isn't a river with water flowing down it. The Sweetfish River might be some kind of metaphor. What kind of image does the word sweetfish have? The sweetfish is like salmon. They're freshwater fish, but they don't go out in the ocean but they go out into the ocean right after they're born. And when they get big, they return to the river to live there. And then they spawn there and end their life there. Well, they leave their home at one point, but the part about getting back big and returning to lay eggs, that might have a family prospering type of image. Domani, Cipi, domani. È già pronto il video, devo solo caricarlo. They're sweet fish, they're freshwater fish, but they can live in the ocean? I didn't know that. I thought they were river fish, so they couldn't go out into the sea. They are also called kogyo, aroma fish. Oh, aroma fish? C'è la canzone, come si chiama? Fishy Aroma, che è quella che è venuta fuori quando Maria ha letto la lettera di Beatrice in episodio 1. Non lo sapevo, ok. Kogyo, quindi è quella la citazione alla ok, va bene. Ci sta perché stava leggendo la lettera che parla dell'epitaffio e quindi questo non lo sapevo, l'ho scoperto adesso. Grazie Ushiromi Anatsui. And they're also called kogyo, aroma fish, because they have a pleasant smell. I've never eaten one, but I've heard that they are very delicious when grilled with salt. Wow, Natsu-san! You've never eaten salt-grilled sweet fish? Oh, they're delicious. I'll treat you sometime. It is a food for commoners. It is inappropriate for your mouth. Afforditi. Oh, this is just my wild idea, but the image I get from a sweet fish river has made me suspect of a family tree before. The sweet fish go out into the ocean for a time, but they return to the river where they were born to spawn, right? It makes me think about myself. You're right. I can confess now that I have sometimes suspected that he refers to you and Maria-chan. Cosa? I see. As you travel down it, you will see a village. The only village, Sato, you'll find by going down the family tree is the one in Maria's name. Ah, il kanji! Il kanji, Sato, sta dentro il nome di Maria. Right? But as you all know, father has a dislike of Maria, and he had almost never spoke with her. Beside which, father once told me to give Maria a completely different name. I just made it Maria on my own. Father was very mad about that. If you think about the history there, I just really couldn't imagine that he'd referenced Maria's name in his precious epitaph about who would inherit his wealth and the family headship. Have you ever let Maria-chan read the epitaph? Yes, of course I have. But she didn't seem to have a clue. She didn't have a clue and kept going about the same occult stuff about that it was a resurrection ceremony for the witch. A connection between father and Maria. Certainly, they do share that occult hobby, but they've never interacted. I can't imagine it refers to Maria either. What interests me is the fact that he explicitly added the word beloved at the beginning. Like all you just said now. If father was reluctant about becoming the Ushiromiya family head, would he have described it that way? I don't think it was Odawara, which points back to the Ushiromiya main family. I believe this word, beloved, here at the beginning, definitely refers to a place full of very important memories to father. Well, that's fine. Be hard to pinpoint since we don't have a clue about a map for... It'd be hard to pinpoint since we don't have a clue about a map from that time. But anyway, there were probably several rivers with sweet fish swimming in them near Dad's home during his youth. That's if it's a river with water flowing down it, right? And then? Go on, Kiryu-san. I don't really understand the three lines starting with, as you travel down it, you will see a village. These are probably coupled with the two lines about the sweet fish river. It's probably something that we would automatically understand if we knew what the sweet fish river actually was. As long as we don't understand that, it is probably useless to try and solve those three lines any further. So we're screwed unless we know what the sweet fish river really is. And there's no guarantee it even means a literal river. Seriously. The heck does it mean by sweet fish? Were they a favorite dish of Dad's? Or is there some special meaning? Is it pointless to read too deeply into it? If you don't have both a micro and a macro perspective, your field of vision grows narrow. Think not too deeply about a river with fish swimming in it, or some kind of flow. Something you can go down or go up. Keep those kinds of abstract images in mind, and we may be able to come up with more out-of-the-box ideas. And via the three lines that follow, the answer for the sweet fish river ends up at the key to the golden land. If you think about it this way, I wonder if there was a mistake to split it into three parts. There's actually 4 parts. Go down the Sweetfish River, find find the key to the Golden Land, journey to the Golden Land, and the treasure of the Golden Land. Truly interesting. While we have this opportunity, would you mind continuing and telling us your opinion about the most certain portion of the epitaph? Up until the 10th twilight, where we have arrived at the Golden Land. That's the most symbolic and also the most disturbing part. Since it keeps mentioning the word sacrifice, I can't help but think it was something to do with father's occult rituals. How do you see it, Kirie-san? Kirie recrossed her arms several times, peering into the paper with the epitaph copied onto it as though she was looking through it. This is very difficult. But starting with you who laid hand upon the key probably means that you won't be able to continue without understanding the key. I'll have to give up, but I'll take a shot at it anyway. Just like the Sweetfish River, it isn't necessarily a river with flowing water down it. I doubt whether this key is actually something shaped like a key. Right. There's also the possibility that it's a code or a keyword. After all, this key isn't something to be stuck into a keyhole. It's something that selects 6 people to be sacrificed for the first twilight. In that sense, we can state that this key isn't something to open the door to the Golden Land. But what a disturbing key. Aspetta un secondo. Okay. A key that can select 6 people to be sacrifices. How would a key select anything? That is spin around like a roulette. This key points towards a certain specific group of 6 people. No, we should say it points to a certain specific group of 6 things. If this doesn't mean a literal command to offer sacrifices, for example, it could be an anagram. An anagram? Do you mean like a word game? Yes. Ever since Rosa started talking about the family tree and how village was a part of Maria-chan's name, this has constantly been going through my mind. It seems as though Rudolf-san, for example, has run with the words beloved home of old, and is assuming that he has something to do with geography or coordinates. But that might not be true. It could be some kind of puzzle or maybe playing with letters. I'm sorry. What do you mean by playing with letters? Oh yeah, like Sackler Mary Barlers. What do you get when you take out all the E's and R's? Suck my balls. Tale padre, tale figlio, porca puttana. Io non ho parole. Io non ho parole. Prendo un secondo, un fiato, bevendo qua un attimo. Got him. Like that. Well, you were raised well, Natsui-san, so you probably haven't heard that one. Take out the E's and the R's, huh? Don't. It is an undignified game, inappropriate for you. Only Natsui didn't get in and had a blank look on her face. Povera innocente Natsui. It seemed that she had only guessed the answer had been something undignified after hearing Rudolph and Eva's sneakers. Natsui-san, it's something like this. There was something like it in Maria Book of Puzzles, okay? There's this thing called the Tanuki notebook. There's a notebook written in some kind of code, with a lot of ta mixed in it. If you remove nuki, all of the ta, then the true sentences pop up. Carino però, è tanuki, togli le ta e prendi parole, frasi nuove. That's cute. Perché nuki significa remove, tanuki è la creatura mitologica E quindi togli il ta e rimane nuki, che vuol dire remove, e quindi togli il ta dalla... Carina, bella... Bei giochi di parole che noi che non sappiamo il giapponese non possiamo capire. It is a game like that. Oh, I see. Natsui finally realized the answer to the undignified riddle Rudolph had posed, and her face grew red as she hung her head in embarrassment. So maybe that remove part is actually represented by kill. Yes, I was thinking about that too. It's possible that the key to the Golden Land is a word with 6 characters. In other words, the ta from the Tanuki notebook is actually 6 characters here. It is getting complicated. Playing with letters, is it? In Japan, it really feels like a child's game, but it seems that it is a stylish form of humor among intellectuals in the English-speaking world. It is easy to imagine the father showed interest in it. But right here, I quickly lose my ability to understand it. Upon this point, while it was filled with mystery, it was extremely sequential. Sweetfish River, go down it, then find the key. It's all extremely sequential. We can guess that we can gain a 6 character key as a result. But in that case, we now don't know what we kill with 6 characters from. What's the point? What do we subtract the 6 characters from? Doesn't tell us. On the second twilight, it says those who remain, which means that at the very least that something has a finite number of characters. You could read it like it was telling you to continue with the remaining character after the 6 characters are removed. And yet, we don't know what this something is, even though it should have been shown to us at the beginning. We were wrong even to assume that it was playing with letters? È complicata sta roba. Everyone crossed their arms and fell into silence. It felt like they were about to reach a novel understanding that they hadn't been able to before, but they stumbled just one step before it. At that time, Hideyoshi's stomach rumbled heartily. The silence up until then was broken by laughter. Sorry. By spinning the gears in my head for a change, my stomach's gone completely empty. Looks like skipping breakfast really takes a toll on me. Natsui, there's nothing. Is there nothing here? There should be at least enough set aside for breakfast. I will prepare it. I'm also starving. I bet those brats above are starving too. But I doubt there'll be enough for 18 people here, and for 3 meals. That's right, there'll be a marathon for tomorrow. It might be better if we took a trip back to the mansion and fished around for some canned food or something in the kitchen. There's nothing more than crackers and snacks, but if that is alright, I can prepare them. But with this many people, there may not be any left for lunch. Comunque, hai detto 18, ma sono morte 6 persone. Adesso che voi state ridendo perché gli hanno fatto lo stomaco di Hideyoshi. Sono morte 6 persone stamattina, 4 ore fa, quanto tempo fa? C'è scritto le 9. 3 ore fa li avete trovate morte, vorrei dire. Vabbè. That would be fine for us. That would be fine for now. Sorry, but would you prepare it for us? It looked like the man had been taken over with appetite and stopped at all. The atmosphere grew more peaceful, and the epitaph investigation meeting broke up for the time being. And Eva kept staring at the paper with the epitaph. Mamma mia. But Eva kept staring at the paper the epitaph was written on, like she was going to burn a hole through it. A war game was nothing more than my theory. There is a chance that it is mistaken. Eva-san, don't take it too seriously, okay? Thank you. This is something I decided to do myself. Would you mind leaving me alone? Eva spoke coldly. Kirie didn't bother her anymore and went to help Natsui-san prepare breakfast. Nei-san, shouldn't we also help prepare breakfast? Then you go help. I'm busy solving this. Sorry. Then I'll go help. Come on! Why are you like this? Huh? The Ushiromi family inheritance will be given to the person who solves this epitaph. You seem to have given up from the beginning, as though it has nothing to do with you. But if you could solve it, even you had the opportunity to inherit the family headship. This is a chance to steal everything from Nissan. Why aren't you seriously trying to solve it for once in a lifetime chance? Rosa hung her head, troubled over how she should answer. She regretted for the first time in a while carelessly speaking to her sister when she was in a bad mood. If you've noticed anything, say so. Even though Kirie-san and I were seriously reasoning, you just kept nodding your head, didn't you? Come on! Isn't there anything you've noticed? Come on! Isn't this strange? Strange? What is? The word Golden Land. The word Golden Land comes up several times. So what? Do you get some keywords by splitting up the characters in Golden Land? No, that's not it. Look, isn't just the 10th Twilight strange? Huh? Even though they're all written the Golden Land, Ogyonkyo, for some reason, this one place as the home of gold, Ogon no Sato, which explicitly, okay, he explicitly mixed in the characters no, changing the phrasing. It vaguely bugged me that it's only said differently here. It's not like he means anything. This is father we're talking about. It could just be a coincidental change in how he said the word. Non so. Mi sembra sospetto, Rosa. Boring. Oh? What is boring? Boring. Well now, I don't have the foggiest idea what this child is grumbling about. She's probably dissatisfied that you gave Butler some of various hints, madame. No, I'm not dissatisfied about that. I'm actually more satisfied now that that worthless Butler has finally reached the level where he can go along with me. Was I a little too friendly with Butler-kun? Maybe it would be better if old people went away and left everything to the young kids. When Virgilia and Ronove giggled and cackled, Beatrice's irritation meter finally reached its limit. Both of you joining forces and laughing at me? Ronove, hide yourself for a while. Go away, go away. Certainly. Sono dimenticato di leggere Virgilia. When Virgilia and Ronove. Dov'è che mi sono dimenticato? Ah, giusto! Di leggere Virgilia come personaggio. Sì, hai ragione. Grazie, Jover. Retired Endless Witch and Beatrice's master. Made proper use of endless magic and dedicated her life to the happiness and smiles of people. Taught Beatrice the endless magic and retired believing that Beatrice would devote herself to people in the same way. As well as being Beatrice's master, she was also the consulting mage of Beatrice's old home. For this reason, Virgilia interacted with her in a manner of a servant. It is said that this was responsible for causing Beatrice's egotism and excesses. E Ronove l'avevamo letto, mi sa di... No, non l'avevamo letto neanche ero 9. One of the 72 great demons serves a master in exchange for various forms of compensation. Presently has a contract with Beatrice as her butler, head furniture. Has multiple underlings trained in housekeeping, and he himself is extremely capable as butler. Employing him has become a kind of status in high society of witches. Furthermore, the cookie he bakes are superb, and witches will often line up to demand them. Should possess a normal magical power, but he always shows deference to his master. His power level is of an unknown quantity. Power level Dragon Ball. Certainly, then, I will rest for a while. Ronove bowed his head, still laughing, and hid himself. After that, all that remained was the figure of Beatrice, who was grumpy and irritated, and Virgilia, who was cooling, enjoying her tea. When you said there are no more than 18 people on this island, you actually cornered yourself. I thought so. I thought it might have been a little too early, but I guess it really was. If you had led him further astray beforehand, things might have been different. But it really was a futile trump card. You stirred him up instead. In addition to his victory condition of denying the witch, Butler had held on to a different victory condition, since he had wanted to explain things without suspecting any of the 18. Hadn't he been at his weakest when he was being tossed about by these two opposing goals? However, Beatrice had used the red carelessly and had proclaimed that there were no more than 18 people. Because of that, Butler had been forced to suspect one of the 18, and he finally began to build up the readiness that he needed to accept that. Butler was stubborn, but because of that, when he was struck where he was fragile, fissures would crack all over him like breaking china. That itself should have been his greatest weak point. Maybe I got a bit too careless after my overwhelming victory last time. Yes, you were too careless. The last game was a difficult one for Butler-kun, but it seems this game will prove a difficult one for you. Broken Vase will definitely never return to its original form, so it would be more constructive to think of the next move rather than regretfully picking up the pieces. But now that Butler has all the right ideas in his head, how should I plot against him? Your trouble face is even better than it's an even better treat than Ronove's cookies. You and Butler and even Ronove keep treating me like a snack, even though I'm not sweet at all. With a shameful, childlike face that she would never have shown in front of Butler, Beatrice rolled her head around on top of the table. Master, at least a hint. Oh, what kind of hint? If you know a skillful move that will make Butler speechless and make him want to accept me. I won't ask you to say it outright, so... Even if it's just a hint. Oh, I can't. I'm acting as Butler's current ally right now. So I can teach you something that would give you an advantage. Don't have to be so strict. Your disciple is in trouble. I believe you harshly boasted that you have surpassed your master, correct? Please act like the old person you are and give me just a bit of your cunning wisdom. Please. It's mean if you only help Butler. My. You're still a spoiled child. But it's true that I might have given Butler-kun a few too many hints. It did serve as a scolding to you, but perhaps it was a little too much support for a fair game. See, you see? Please, master, at least just one hint to help me. Okay, just a hint. Think about what it means by yourself, alright? Yeah, I'll think about it myself. So please give me one that'll leave Butler down in the dumps, master. It was truly shameful how she behaved when Butler wasn't around, even though she acted utterly like a great witch in front of him. Virgilia sighed, lamenting under her breath that Beato never really seemed to grow up. Then, just a hint. Do you know of Aesop's fable, The North Wind and the Sun? Of course. It is a story about how the North Wind and the Sun challenge each other to steal the cloak of a traveler, right? That's right. The moral is that violent or impatient methods aren't always necessarily the best decisions. You don't have to tell me that. I have already reflected on the fact that I have rushed too fast towards victory. Think well about what this means. And furthermore, although it seems the Butler-kun has a slight misunderstanding as well, you too seem to be under a misapprehension. Do you understand that victory conditions, the victory conditions of this game? What else is there other than making Butler submit to me? See? At that point, you are already mistaken. How am I mistaken? Your victory isn't making Butler-kun submit. It's to get Butler-kun to accept your existence, is it not? What's this? You want me to butter up Butler and ask him to accept me as a witch, please? How foolish. I will not sink so low. Grr. Beato growled like a dog in a bad mood. Virgilia shrugged her shoulders, snickering at the disciple who was short-tempered as always. This is my hint. Now you should think deeply. In any event, your moves up until now will not work on Butler. A significant tactical conversion will probably be required. I know that even without you telling me. I don't have a clue what you mean by the North Wind and the Sun, but anyway, understand that I will have to change my direction. I will showcase a clever scheme that will surprise even you, Master. I look forward to it. I wonder how Butler-kun will tackle that. I will be wishing you good luck as well. After Butler, right? Momento cute di Beato. Are you going to give up and resign already? If you're that tired, why don't you go into the futon and sleep forever? As my consciousness grew vague and I pretended to fight my drowsiness, sinking deeper and deeper into the sofa, I scolded myself. Don't you remember how much you dreamed about stealing the position of family head from Kraus? Even though I gave you that chance with my magic, you're already throwing it away? You say that, but this riddle is really difficult. Even a wire puzzle would be better. At least in this case, you're assured that it is definitely solvable. But with this epitaph riddle, I don't even know if I'm even assured that. I might just be fighting a useless battle. Still hazy, I looked at the notebook which I had been holding the whole time. It was open to the page with the epitaph, which had been stared at, almost burned a hole through, on so many hundreds of nights I had lost count. That is truly a door. On the other side, it is the Golden Land, the place which ever since I was a child I wished to reach. I spelled no effort to reach, and I've never been able to reach. Here I am with both my hands upon the door, and even though the door is open, I still cannot reach the other side. That's right. You already have your hands upon the door. Come, open it with all your strength, and read the characters written on the door. Open it with all my strength. Read the characters written on the door. Strain your eyes, see through what lies further beyond the epitaph written in the notebook. The beloved home of old definitely won't betray our expectations. The only past that father held dear was in his years as a boy. That's right. Then what about the Sweetfish River? There are several rivers where they swim, but it's dubious where there was one very near to the place that father lived. If we start wondering which river that's home to Sweetfish is closest in a cartographical sense, things will quickly get vague and we won't be able to pin it down. Didn't you say it yourself? You said that it didn't have to be a river with water flowing through it. If the word Sweetfish is too complicated, why not forget it forever? Think of a river. A river. Link it with family tree wasn't a bad idea. Try thinking about how to link a river with something else along those lines. Not a river. Even though the Sweetfish can't swim in it, if it isn't a river, or maybe Sweetfish can swim in it. Means it joins up with the ocean. My husband did say that despite being river fish, they go into the ocean. With the ocean. No, but... Huh? Did you notice? But that's just a faint memory. There should be a book archive somewhere around here. If you investigate, we can make sure. If that's the Sweetfish River, and if the key might be a 6-character word... If is the key really resting in that river? I don't know. Anyways, I have to search in an atlas. But even if I know that, I don't know from what I should take the 6 characters. You really don't know? Think deeply. We are too smart for our own good, so our thoughts are inflexible. But think of it like something as grandiose as the riddle of the epitaph, but it's like a child's puzzle. Men are always children, no matter how old they get. Even if father has advanced into old age, that doesn't change the fact that he's essentially a child inside his heart. Throw away your awe of father. Think of it like a worthless infantile puzzle game, like the ones Maria suddenly brings up on the boat. Puzzles. Worthless. Infantile. Huh? I'm sure that was... What was it? I'm sure if my memory isn't wrong, that was probably... No, I don't have to rely on my vague memory. I should be able to figure out immediately too by searching in the archive. We probably already realized the answer. All that's left is to research whether that's correct or not. Come, Eva! Let's go to the archive and make sure no one notices. There, we should find a mountain of thick books that didn't fit inside Father's study. I'm sure that we'll find a book with that answers our questions. Or our question. Quickly! This is our first and last chance in our life to have our dreams come true. When Natsui tried to lay a blanket over her, Eva suddenly jumped up. Oh, I'm sorry. I seem to have woken you. Eva, if you're sleepy, don't overdo it. You rest first. Thank you. I'm just going to the lavatory for a bit to wash my face. You should take it easy and rest. Your health take another bad turn, you know. I said I'm fine, really. I'll be right back. Leaving only those words behind, I left the lobby at a brisk pace. The lobby was partitioned off by a door, so as soon as I went into the corridor, they could no longer see me. The archive was next to the servant room. Father always owned a vast book collection, but after he started to become engrossed with his occult hobby, his library of those kinds of books grew even larger, so that the normal books suitable for a normal study had been forced out of his study as his study overflowed. This archive was where those normal books were stored. They were all stiff books for intellectuals, like complete volume sets of encyclopedias, but that was very convenient for me now that I was investigating something. I entered softly and, just in case, I checked the room with my gun readied, making sure that there were no suspicious people there. Then I locked it from the inside. I actually wasn't thinking that the murderer might be hiding somewhere. What scared me was my fear that one of the siblings might hear what I was investigating. My heart had started jumping. I had been half asleep until a short time ago, so I hadn't been able to realize how significant this thing I realized was. But as I started to become aware, my heart started feeling like it was about to explode. I wonder if any of the other siblings have realized this. I don't think Klaus or Rudolf will realize, but I don't know about Kiria. She has an extraordinarily good intuition, and I don't know about Rosa either. Rosa is as dim as the others. She always had been, and ridiculously so. Really? I think she was wise enough to make you think she was dim, so that she didn't earn himself unnecessary malice. Here it is! I wonder if we will find it in this one. I pulled the book out and flipped through the pages. Oh, this is... Sweetfish River! I see. This is what the Sweetfish River means. Don't waddle around, research further. Yes, I know. As you travel down, you will see a village, Sato. Sato is an older word for town or village, right? But it is a densely populated area. There are any number of those. Why have you stopped thinking? If you don't like it, why not quit forever? Why don't you just... Mamma mia. Why not just hand over the Ushiromi headship to Kirie forever? No, I don't want to. I will become the head. This is my first and last chance to do that. What is a village? What does it mean? Is there a village if you go down this river? In that village, look for the shore the two speak of. It is a shore, Kishi. Understood? I understand. Sure. All those pieces that I hadn't been able to understand at all were right before my eyes, starting to snap into place, all by themselves. I couldn't even remember to close my open mouth. My throat grew completely dry. It is really alright for this to be the answer. Really? But this isn't 6 characters at all. I'm absolutely sure that this is the answer, but it doesn't reach 6 characters at all. Did you stop thinking again? In that case, think of a way you could read it with 6 characters. If you can't think of one, then research it. There has to be an answer. You must not doubt that. If you can't believe it, If you can't believe it, why don't you cry yourself to sleep and then just give up and die forever? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 6 characters. I found it. This is the golden lens. Key. Yes, this is the key to the golden land. The key to our childhood dreams. The only keyhole to stick the key is in that place. That is definitely what offers the sacrifices. You get it now, right? Madonna gente, ho la pelle d'oca. Non so voi, ho la cazzo di pelle d'oca in questo momento. Sto tremando e ho la pelle d'oca. No, non è così. No, non esiste, non esiste. Gente, questo è il momento che io ho aspettato fin dall'inizio. Non esiste. No, noi andiamo avanti. Almeno per questa parte. This way. That means to go this way, right? They are inviting me to go this way after all. My heart leapt, because there, gaping wide, was the open mouth of eerie darkness. What is this? What is this? When I strained my eyes, peering into the darkness, I saw something that looked like a light switch. In addition, there was a switch with open and close written on it. I resolutely pushed the switch for the lights, and rough lights, almost like you'd find in a coal mine or something, flickered on sporadically, making a staircase that stretched underground come hazily into vision. It was creepy how now it looked even more gloomy with the lights turned on. Other than the light switch, there was also a switch with open and close written on it. I could probably open and close it with this, but if I was unlucky enough to find that the door part was broken, I might be closed in this creepy underground area for all eternity. So for the time being, I didn't touch the open-close switch. And as I readied my gun again, I slowly went down the stairs. Because the ceiling was very high, it didn't feel cramped. On the contrary, it felt as though a cool breeze was blowing upwards, and I even sensed a spiritual presence from the eeriness of it. With my gun ready and carefully staring forwards, I continued descending the stairs. The walls, the stairs, the light, all of them were very old-fashioned. It may be beyond doubt that this had been made at the same time that the mansion had been constructed on this island. There were cracks in the ceiling, and water clung to the walls, constantly dripping down. The water fell into the gutter that had been set up alongside the stairs, then quickly and silently flowed into the underground darkness. It was as though it was telling me to go faster. The staircase turned back on itself a number of times. It was hard to tell how far underground I've gone, but I thought it had been much deeper than one floor. Eventually, a rough metal door showed itself, and their characters had been written in dark red paint. They had probably been written there for a long time. They had probably been written a long time ago. On the 10th twilight, the journey ends, and you shall reach the home of gold. My heart, which already was about to explode, jumped about even more as soon as I read those deep red characters. There's no mistake. This is the last stop. Sto tremando. Father, Golden Land. I calmed my throbbing heart, somehow to regain my composure, and readied the gun again. But since in the end I couldn't open the door with my gun held in both hands, I lowered my gun, carefully erased my breath, and opened the door. Isn't this the inside the... My first impressions when I saw the room was to question whether it might have been connected to some of the rooms in the mansion. Yes, this place has exactly the same atmosphere about it as the forbidden VIP room on the second floor. But it was underground, so there were no windows. There was only the solemn light of a grand chandelier. But the quality of the interior, dimly lit by the faint light, was more than enough to take your breath away. A bed with a canopy and a rocking chair that looked like it would be very comfortable to sit in, an extravagant sofa and carpet. The room was like a dream every girl yearns for at least once. And yet, since it was underground, a hidden room with no windows, it actually felt like it could be a hidden house of a witch. I have never swallowed the legend of Beatrice, witch of the forest. However, if you were shown this room, it certainly would become hard to doubt that she actually had existed and had lived here. Someone there? Although I was dumbfounded by this room, I timidly kept my gun raised and searched the interior. And in the center of the room, I found it. My gasp came out strangely, as though a bunny was being choked. I mean, after finding something like this, no one would have any words other than that stupid voice. It's here. It's really here. Father's gold! On the opposite side of the canopy bed, it was piled up in a massive heap. A mountain of gold ingots. Of course, they weren't piled up carelessly in a way that would damage the dignity of this room. A beautiful scarlet satin weave was laid on the mountain of gold, creating a beautiful three-colored mix between the red, the gold, and the black of the deep darkness. It was as though, when the witch slept on this bed, the gold would be respectfully Chamberlain waiting for her. Nobly, refinedly, gracefully, beautifully. It was piled there with an imposing and yet ceremonious air. I tried to grab a single gold ingot and was surprised by its weight. It was probably about 10 kilograms. Just this one ingot was easily be worth 10 millions without a doubt. The Ushiromiya family crest, the one-winged eagle, was lightly imprinted on it. It was hard to tell whether he had worn away or whether the impression had been made carelessly in the first place. But it was certainly the crest of the one-winged eagle. How many ingots are piled up here? Just roughly multiplying both sides and multiplying that by the height, it must surely be over several hundred. My mind was already blank. I can't calculate it properly. Even a conservative count could put it above 1 billion yen. Well, of course. Of course it would be. I mean, it's 10 tons of gold. At the current value, it's more than 20 billion yen of gold. I found it before anyone else. I found it. In front of that mountain of gold, I spread my arms and looked up at the ceiling. I laughed without a trace of dignity a laugh without a trace of dignity flowed out of my entire body. I had no intention at all of laughing in such a weird way, but I just couldn't hold back the happy feeling that flowed throughout my entire body. The older brother of mine probably wouldn't accept his loss just because I found the gold, but from now on, there will be no change in the fact that I have been the one to find the gold. To steal the headship of the family, I would still probably need some subtle tactics, but after everything I've gone through until now, that's a completely trivial problem. Even if I lose out on the inheritance of the Ushiramiya family and everything, this 20 billion yen worth of gold is now mine, and mine alone. There was a time when I thought of money as such a worthless thing. I thought there are so many things in this world that can't be that you can't buy with money. But now I understand that it's just a lie. It was just an excuse that have-nots make for themselves.
この黄金の山を前にして、私はやっとそんな当たり前を理解したわ。この世のすべての幸せは、この黄金を溶かすことで生み出すことができる。このお金があれば、夫の会社はもう大丈夫。私たち家族はずっと幸せ。そしてジョージにも莫大なお金を残してあげることができる。
Madonna, quanto amo il doppiaggio di Eva. With this mountain of gold before me, I finally realized something so obvious. I can give birth to all the happiness in this world by melting this gold. With this money, my husband company is fine now. We will always be happy as a family. And I can even leave a vast amount of money to George.
他の親戚たちなどやがては没落して消えるわ。その時ジョージはこの黄金を使って失われた後宮家の意向をまるでお父様がそうしたように復興させてみせるのよ。その時誰も異論を挟めないわ。ジョージこそが後宮家の本当の跡継ぎなのよ。
The rest of the relatives will eventually be ruined and disappear. At that time, George will use this gold and revive the Ushiramiya family lost honor, just like father did. There will be no room for anyone to argue then. George is the true successor of the Ushiramiya family. It happened. My wish was granted. The dream that I have wished for ever since I was born into this world as Ushiramiya Eva has been granted completely in this very moment. My husband and I will be happy for all eternity, and I can also give my only son George eternal happiness. There's no way I'll waste it on foolish pleasures. My older brother has chewed up the Ushiramiya family, but George and I will revive it. And that means that we will truly have succeeded the headship of the Ushiromiya family.
成し遂げたわ。やったわ。あなた、ジョージ。私は、母さんは、ついに成し遂げたわよ。もうこれで誰にも脅かされない。
Eva adesso sta piangendo, sta avendo tutte le emozioni. I succeeded. I did it. Honey. Honey, George, your mother, finally succeeded. After this, we won't be threatened by anyone. That's right. After this, never again we will be smothered by sad nights. Congratulations, me. Congratulations, Ushiromiya Eva. Right here, right now. The sad half of our life has had its heart desires granted. It's all thanks to you. I was blessed with this chance because of your magic. Because of that chance, I was able to make it here. Thank you. But my magic couldn't have been granted if we both didn't believe in each other. So, it isn't just the power of my magic. It is our victory. So congratulations, us. Thank you. Me. Thank you, Ushiromiya Eva. I'm so glad I didn't give in before now. I'm so glad I didn't drown in sorrow and forget to keep struggling. No. This is my magic. Our magic. Your magic was the real thing. Beatrice, the witch of the forest, is nothing more than an illusion. You are the real witch who can use real magic. That's right. Right now, you are the golden witch, Beatrice. Eva decided to leave that place for the time being, and when she climbed the stairs again, trying to leave this secret place, she saw a creepy, swaying human shadow blocking her path, and her dreamlike state was blown away. Who's there? For an instant, she believed that the true master of this room, the real Beatrice, had appeared. It seems that the other person was also holding a gun. The two of them were pointing guns at each other, and eventually, they each realized who the other was. Rosa? Nesa, what are you doing in a place like this? I could ask you the same. What business do you have in a place such as this? I shouldn't have given you that hint, Nesa. If I hadn't, I definitely would have been the first to reach this place. Too bad. It seems that Rosa knew where this staircase went, and what was waiting ahead of her. That's rich. Coming from someone who arrived after me. I racked my brains too much over that Sweetfish River. The Sweetfish part didn't really matter that much at all, did it? That isn't true. It was an excellent hint, if you ask me. Well, of course, maybe there was no need for it to be a sweetfish. But when I heard that sweetfish are fish that go into the sea, I was able to figure it out. What is inside? Why not see it with your own eyes? It definitely won't betray your expectations. Don't be afraid, Nissan. I never had any interest in who becomes the head. I don't even care about the Ushiromiya family name. Honestly, Klaus Nissan always did throw his weight around, saying that he was going to be the head. So I actually feel good about you stealing the position from him. You serious? Of course. I am the outsider of the Ushiromiya siblings. Even if father had named me as the next head, there's no way brother would accept that. I try not to have such naive dreams. Let me see too the proof of your victory, Nessa. As long as I receive the proper portion that we agreed upon as siblings, I plan to actively accept you as a true victor of this game. If you shoot me, then you would have this gold all for yourself, right? The same is for you. If you shoot me, this gold will all be yours. For a tense while, the sisters pointed their guns at each other. Eventually, they sized up the glint in each other's eyes and lowered their guns. Eva removed the finger from the trigger and held the gun upside down. It was a position that she couldn't quickly shoot from. When she saw that, Rosa held the same way. Held hers the same way. That's right. The plan of shooting the other and having all the gold to herself is fascinating for both of us. But if one of us suddenly disappears and the other on this island while it's isolated by the typhoon, there would be a huge uproar. If we hid the corpse later, it probably wouldn't be found easily, but that isn't for certain. No matter how many billions yens worth of gold is there on the line, it isn't worth the risk of committing murder. In the end, that would become a weakness for Nissan and the others to squeeze all the money out of us. I agree. Considering that Nissan and Rudolph could have been the one to show up here, it may have been a blessing in disguise that it was you. I trust you most of all the siblings. Thank you. I also trust you the most of the siblings, Nissan. I want to see the gold too. Do you? Now I also want to see it again. Even though I saw it with my own eyes, it still doesn't feel real. Unless I see it together with you and check once more that it actually exists, it feels like the gold will turn into fog and disappear. Eva started descending the staircase once more. However, she didn't carelessly expose her back to Rosa. Likewise, even though at a glance it looked like Rosa had lowered her gun, she definitely did not show any signs of carelessness. And they've reached the room of the witch once again. Rosa has also gasped, made speechless by the vast amount of gold. Rosa and Eva walked absent-mindedly throughout the rose garden. They have left the guest house secretly, so they had to be careful when they returned as well. They had to regain their sense of tension soon. Congratulations, Nesan. Thank you. You decided, didn't you? 50% goes to the bearer of the title of successor to the head. It sure did work out well for you. That doesn't refer to Klaus Nisan anymore. So, your share is now 50% along with a quarter of the rest. That is a total of 12.5 billion yen. Isn't that an incredible share? I'm satisfied with 2.5 billion. Rudolf Nissan won't complain either. Klaus Nissan will probably be the only one to complain. Yeah, you're right. After all, Nissan is the practical manager of Rokkenjima, and since the gold was on these premises, even though I was the first to discover it, things might get complicated if I don't handle it skillfully. It won't get complicated. We will cover this and every other eventuality in excruciating detail in last night's discussion, didn't we? I wonder if it will go really that smoothly. I have already completely gotten over my excitement. How we regulate everything from here on is the real problem. That is a problem for the new head of the Ushiromi family. You should enjoy that problem, Nathan. Teoricamente, Luke. Nathan, it has nothing to do with me. Sharp words. I'll support you as the second person to find it. So please, let's at least give me the early payment we decided on. I'd like 150 million yen by March. That's fine. If you support me, I can graciously pay you that amount. I am not Nissan. Anyway, why don't we go and shock Nissan and the others? Even if we cover up the actual location, I want Kraus Nissan to be shocked. I want to see Kraus Nissan's face. Mamma mia, I want to see Kraus Nissan's shocked face as soon as I can. Wait a second, Rosa. Wait a while before telling anyone about it. Why? You idiot, isn't it obvious? This is the hotly Kraus Nissan and the sly Rudolph we are talking about. Even if we announce it eventually, it's too early now. Even if we announce it eventually, it is too early now. Unless we carefully investigate how we should move things along first, it's possible that all the gold we finally found will be snatched away by Nissan. I thought she had just said something completely obvious. So when Rosa's expression suddenly clouded over, she was a little surprised. What are you unsatisfied about? You know well what kind of people those are. Nesan, that's against the rules. What do you mean? Didn't we make a rule that whoever found the gold would announce it immediately? If you hesitate, the foundation of the rules will be destroyed, and that could lead to something worse in the future. With Kraus Nissan as crafty as he is, the violation of the rules will complicate things later. Don't be stupid. This is Nissan's island, and that gold just now wasn't cash. We are talking about liquidation of vast 10-ton mountain, you know. It will take a significant amount of time to carry it off the island and turn it into cash. And that will only work if Nissan's favor, since he has a practical control over this island. Don't you even realize that? I don't like searching each other for weaknesses like that. I just want to clearly lock in my 2.5 billion portion. And of course, if you were giving me 2.5 billion in cash now, whatever you did next would be up to you. But until I have my share in my own pocket, I will follow the siblings' rules. You're so naive. You don't understand Nissan's craftiness at all. It wasn't that Rosa didn't understand the craftiness of her older siblings. In that sense, Rosa more or less understood Eva's caution, but in her heart, she couldn't clear away her even greater suspicion that Eva wanted to keep all of the gold to herself. Because she knew that Eva was at least as crafty as the older siblings, if not more. In other words, by quickly informing the siblings of the gold discovery, Rosa wanted to put a stop to any chance Eva had to keep the gold all to herself. Lo so che dovrei chiudere, gente, ma c'è una cosa che voglio che accada. Deve accadere. Rosa. Sorry, but at least listen to me this once. Are you saying that if I don't listen to what you say, you won't be able to prepare the 150 million? That isn't the way I wanted to say it, but if you really need that money, it's more realistic to support me. If you talk to Nissan and Rudolph, even the natural portion of yours might disappear. You don't want that, don't you? For a while, a severe expression that she had never shown at her sister before For a while, a severe expression that she had never shown to her sister before rose to Rosa's face. But there wasn't even a trace of a restraint as a younger sister. There was just the ruthlessness, no, the seriousness of a single human arguing about a vast amount of wealth. Eva made light of it, chuckling. Dear me, a frightful murder had just taken place, and the culprit still may be on this island. How careless we must be to stand around here talking like this. I'm sure it's just the servant farce. No murder ever occurred on this island. Huh? So you really do think that? It can be clearly explained by the manner of the 6 deaths. The locked room involving those 6 definitely couldn't be created by the crime from outside. Dr. Nanjo said they were all dead, but that was also a lie. This is all a complicated act that father plotted. All of the servants are just pretending to be dead. A murder never occurred in the first place. There was no way there's a murder prowling around. I'm surprised I would notice that. You looked very frightened, so I thought that you realized that much. So I hadn't thought you realized that much. I am a person who can read between the lines in that kind of situation. Thanks to you, I've been well trained. Sì, beh, loro non possono avere il rosso ovviamente perché fanno parte della scacchiera, però noi da fuori come giocatori possiamo. That's right, before we realized that the servant had died and the members of the Ushiromiya family had become the only ones on the island, and after Nanjo had proclaimed their death, the deaths of the servants and their relatives had begun to discuss the riddle of the epitaph, he had disappeared off upstairs as though he was in the way. Everything was an act to get us to challenge the epitaph. And that's exactly why you need to proclaim that you are the victor, Nesan. There's no way that burned corpse is really father. He prepared the corpse with the right amount of dose for somewhere and deliberately burned it in that horribly morbid way. I'm sure he's hiding somewhere, watching to see how we'll behave. I'm sure he already knows that you have reached the Golden Land, Nesan. And that's why you should proclaim soon that you are the winner. I'm sure Father will appear out of nowhere and proclaim that you are his successor while clapping his hands. Well, still, I have to pester you for 150 million, so I can't work against you in anything. So you listen to what I say and be quiet about this to Nissan and the rest. Make your position clear, Rosa. I want to tell them. We just made that rule last night. We shouldn't just throw that away. Of course, I will announce it in front of the siblings. However, I want to make sure of the situation first. Carrying out the 10 tons of gold, converting it into money, and distributing it fairly. Until I can affirm my ability to carry those out without Nissan getting in the way. I want some time to think. I only want to hold off my announcement until then. I'm definitely not keeping it a secret because I want it all for myself. You'll definitely announce it to everyone sooner or later, right? Yes, of course. Even I want to rub it in Nissan's face as soon as I can. About how much time will you think you need to think? I won't know until I thought about it. Would one night be enough? Can I promise that I'll take only one night? Out of the respect for you as the successor to the head, I will support you for one night. This is the yearly family conference will end tomorrow. This year family conference will end tomorrow morning, when the typhoon passes and the boat comes to get us. That's right. When the seagulls cries. When the seagulls cry, I will remain silent until then. If you think that you need more time to think after that, let's talk about it again at that time, alright? I will support your position as much as possible. You are really cunning, aren't you? I'm surprised. You were always this strong-willed. It's true that women become stronger when they have a child. I realized that in myself when I had Maria. Alright. I thank you for cooperating for the time being. We can talk about tomorrow when it comes. Yes, that's right. I believe that you will be a fair-minded successor to the head, who wouldn't even think of taking all the gold for herself. Isn't that obvious? I will split the gold evenly among the siblings as we agreed. No way! I found this! Because we solved the riddle of the epitaph. So this gold is all mine. I won't give it up to anyone. I am the head of the Ushiromiya family. I am. In a loud voice, the witch inside Eva claimed exclusive possession of everything. Of course, that didn't come close to reaching Rosa's ears, and it probably didn't even reach Eva's either. I shall acknowledge that. You are the true head of the Ushiromiya family, chosen by the witch's epitaph. Now, I shall acknowledge that upon my name. You are... that outfit... that couldn't be... really? Beatrice. Maybe Beatrice was happy that Eva called her by her own name. She chuckled pleasantly. In concert with her laugh, golden butterflies rose up as though a storm of gold dust has broken into the room. As the room shone the color of gold. Indeed, I am the Golden Witch, Beatrice. There is nothing that should frighten you, so I am praising your exploit. Truly excellent. Imagine that you would spectacularly solve that riddle of the epitaph. It is worthy of my admiration. You were the one who sent the letter, so I'll succeed all of the gold and the Ushiromiya family inheritance, right? You wrote that in your letter, and I overcame that challenge. I shall acknowledge that. Now, all of this piled up gold and everything of the Ushiromiya family is for you to do as you please. For at this moment, you are already the Ushiromiya family head. Really? It's true, right? Right? Do not become agitated. I am openly praising you. As proof, I shall grant you this. Beatrice took a ring off her own finger and held it out to Eva. She fearfully accepted it and realized that it was a ring. Could it be? It is the proof of the Ushiromiya family headship returned to me from Kinzo, the golden ring. From now on, it is yours. You may put it on your finger and display it high before your siblings. None shall doubt that you have succeeded the Ushiromiya family inheritance. Eva stared closely at the ring. It certainly wasn't a fake. Without a doubt, it was the real thing. She wrote, she who had dreamed of receiving the ring someday, and who had stared fixatedly at it countless time, could say that for certain, this ring, and now designated her as the new owner, and had been as its new owner, and had been handed over to her. And timidly, she put it on her middle finger of her left hand. In that instant, she felt a deep emotional welling up inside her that she had never felt before. Her mind grew blank, both eyes wide open. That ring was on her own finger, not in a dream, in reality. This ring is surely also pleased, because it was able to come to you, who had dreamed of putting it on your finger for so long. The ring. Father's ring. How many nights have you dreamed of putting that on your own finger, as you have now done? The strength of those feelings became your magic and made that reality. Now, you are worthy of calling yourself a true witch. Who are you? Are you really Beatrice? I am the Golden Witch, Beatrice, the Ushiromiya family alchemist. Following my contract with Kinzo, I now pass everything on to you. All of the gold I entrusted Kinzo with, and all of the wealth he had built up through that, and the honor and inheritance of the Ushiromiya family. And I will pass on my power and the title of Endless Witch. A witch's title? I will pass all my magical power and all the titles of the Golden Witch and Endless Witch. Following my predecessor, I will hand over my name, Beatrice, along with those titles. You may now call yourself by that name. Eva gulped. The chandelier light, which had seemed dim, now felt too bright. Scusate un secondo, rivedete il nome della live? By my name, I now carry out a section of the Golden Witch. The instant that Beatrice made that proclamation, a golden brilliance buried everything, and changed into a majestic space that looked like a throne room. In the throne room there was a crowd of Beatrice's minions and brethren, as well as countless golden butterflies, celebrating this first succession ceremony in 1,000 years. And there was Beatrice in the throne room, in the throne that was the Endless Witch was... And there was Beatrice in the throne that only the Endless Witch was permitted to sit on, holding the golden staff, reigning with a dazzling dignity. Without being ordered by anyone, Eva automatically kneeled, hanging her head. A goat attendant respectfully offered Beatrice a golden staff modeled after the one-winged eagle. After Beatrice stood up and received the staff, she laid the tip of it on Eva's shoulder and poke. It was a proclamation of 1,000 years coming. Ushiromiya Eva. You have spectacularly solved the riddle of the witch's epitaph and reached this golden land. I praise that accomplishment. And then over all of the endless magic, as well as the title of Golden and the Endless Witch. From this point on, you may take my name, Beatrice. Come, raise your face, and then stand and accept this staff. I am most grateful. Eva stood up teasingly and took the magic staff from Beatrice's hand. Her hand was trembling slightly. As soon as she grasped that staff, she was wrapped up in a brilliant spark of gold, as though gold butterflies were flowing out from inside her. In the instant she succeeded the Golden Witch, Eva felt something in the depths of her soul be reborn. To describe in a word, it was energy. Energy with gold color. It felt as though she had been half asleep ever since she was born, and had now, for the first time, awoken. For the first time in her life, she felt her true eyes inside her now open. Parafrasando. Sì! A fitting and beautiful outfit for the Golden Witch. Come, so show yourself to all these people. Show them that you are now the new witch. Eva, no, the new Beatrice, turned around timidly. When she did, the witch's minion, which filled the vast throne room, honored her with a wild applause that sounded like a roaring of the sea. Come, everyone. Replace of the portraits of Beatrice with the new Beatrice. Often up words of celebration for the new Beatrice. New Beatrice, congratulations on the succession of the Golden Witch. I hope that you will become able to stand on your own as a noble Golden Witch and as the endless witch. Yes, I will do my best. I expect a composure fitting of the endless witch from you, unlike your naughty predecessor. Master, we are in the middle of a serious ceremony, so please, enough of that. Congratulations on the succession of the Golden Witch. New Beatrice-sama. I am called Ronove. I am one of the 72 demons permitted to serve the Golden Witch. From now on, I will always be at your service. If you are ever inconvenienced in the slightest, please let me know at once. Thank you. Ronove is rude, but reliable. If you speak to this man of anything that confuses you in your new days as a witch, he should be able to help you. And predecessor Beatrice-sama, it is a shame that I was not permitted to serve you further, even though we have finally been reunited like this. These last 1,000 years have been very entertaining for me. I deeply thank you. 1,000 years with you wasn't boring. Please take care of the new witch. Yes, if that is the final order of the predecessor Beatrice, I, Ronove, shall certainly carry out your wish. Thank me, Kay. I signed as your reference for succession of the witch, you know. So basically, if I hadn't signed, you wouldn't be able to become the witch. So, thank me a little, alright? This is the witch of certainty, Lady Lambda Delta. The recommendation of which from the Senate was required for your succession as Endless Witch. Lady Lambda Delta recommended you and became your guardian. Thanks. Hey, Beato. This kid isn't grateful enough. I wanna stop recommending her. Being a referee is not a thing to take lightly. If you've signed, then you must take responsibility. Lady Damda Delta, it's also a witch of certainty. The witch of certainty prefers to make fate firm, to create a fate of certainty. She took a great liking to your efforts up until today, and held them in the highest regard. Well, an unfortunate childhood, unrewarded effort. I can sympathize just a bit with those, that's all. It's not like I felt sorry for you or anything. Don't get full of yourself. Soon. From my point of view, your succession, well, it's more of a coincidence than a miracle. You wouldn't have been worthy of my recommendation. This is Lady Bencastle. She's a very hard-to-please person. Still, you could say that she's just having her participate and celebrate is very fortunate. I only came here because it's a rare event, unseen in 1,000 years. And I heard that there would be some delicious alcohol. New Beatrice-sama, please, allow us to greet you as well. I am pleased to meet you. The seven sisters of Purgatory formed a line by side. The eldest, Lucifer, took a step forward and kneeled. These are furniture who serve me. As a gift in celebration of your inheritance, I will send them to you. After your succession to Golden Witch, you will need to perform the ritual for your own resurrection. The seven sisters of Purgatory perform an essential role in that ritual. They're a bunch of miscreants, but they serve their purpose. Have them do whatever you wish. We will always be at your side, Beatrice-sama. Please order us to do anything you wish. We will certainly show you that we can accomplish our task. After that, various nobles and minions visited and offered words of congratulation to the new witch, and she responded of them confusedly, as she felt as though she was getting lightheaded due to the lack of oxygen. She couldn't tell if it was something real or unreal, but there was just one thing that she could understand: the feeling of achievement at being permitted to call herself the Golden Witch. That alone was truth. That alone was a truth that she could definitely understand. Luke. What is all of this? Of course I'm not going to swallow this story, but what on earth does this mean? Auntie Eva is now in the new Beatrice. Are you saying she's become a witch? What the hell? I'm also surprised. Imagine that someone would be able to solve that riddle. However, that is the rule. I must follow it and pass on the position of Golden Witch and my name. It is hardly something to be surprised about. Milady wrote the rule in the letter and announced it at the beginning. Eva-sama was the first to be successful. That is all there is to say. Are you there? Are you there? Yes, here I am. What does this farce mean? Even if this depiction of strange witches showing up one after another is some other bullshit, isn't this like Auntie Eva has become a witch? Calm yourself. She has simply received the title of Golden Witch and might call herself that in the future. This succession ceremony is without doubt nothing more than performed according to that child's interpretation. Don't fall to the same move again. That's right. The whole grand ceremony was all phony. But it's at least a fact that Auntie Eva solved the riddle of the epitaph, and at the same time, that means that she inherited the Ushiromiya family headship. and by obtaining 10 tons of gold. It means that Auntie Eva might as well call herself the Golden Witch. Is that it? Damn. Making things as complicated as ever. Dear me. He's a boorish human unable to comprehend the grandeur of this ceremony. Oh well. Being unable to read between the lines is what makes you human. I pity you, but I do not blame you. Damn it. Don't look at me like you feel sorry for me. Still, for the first time being, there's something I need to check. And that's regarding this younger version of Auntie Eva. In other words, the definition of this new Beatrice. What the heck is she? Even if I tell of it, you will just persist if you describe. Even if I tell you, mamma mia, gente, sono 4 ore che leggo, devo finire. Even if I tell of it, you will just persist in your disbelief in magic and witches, will you not? So there is nothing particular for me to explain. You may believe that things are just that things are just as you think they are. Okay. The way I think things are? Then how should I interpret this? From now on, grasp it. For now, grasping it as a visualization of different beings inside Ushiromi Eva may not be a hindrance, I believe. Of course, you cannot blindly accept it, but it is probably appropriate for you to think of that way. In other words, I should think of Auntie Eva and her as the same person? Damn, this is starting to feel bad. With that being the case, from now on, my name is not Beatrice, because I have passed it on to Ushiromi Eva, which means I'm now nameless. Butler, isn't there some name that is fitting for me? I shall take your recommendation. Is there a name that's full of elegance? Make a little cute if you can. Just Beato is good enough for you. There's probably enough of a difference between Beato and Beatrice. Stay as Beato as it is. It doesn't feel odd, but it's boring for some reason. They say the temperature of black tea and a woman's heart are difficult in any time period. Patrick. In any case, handle what it is to come with composure. Compared to when this child was Beatrice, now that we can tell her apart from Ushiromi Eva, the situation is advantageous to us. And it's exactly because of that I like it even less. What is she thinking of, that Beato? Over there, Auntie Eva, who had the figure of her younger days and who had now possessed the name Beatrice, had a long line forming of witches wishing to bless her. It was like a witch's coronation. Countless golden butterflies flapped their wings, directing this fantastical gold-sparkling space. They were all praising her, and I stared from the distance. I looked at Beatrice's given new life, who had a slightly embarrassed smile on her face. Her expression, which had been hesitant at first, seemed to be full of happiness that she had been finally become aware of. In that expression, there wasn't a trace of that madness that had led her to that insane laugh before the gold. There was only the innocence of relishing her joy. Since I deny witches, I couldn't accept her as she shone that joyful expression at the witch succession ceremony. However, I watched that innocent smile. It made me feel like I wanted to celebrate her, just for now. That moment when a strong effort is successful and rewarded is always beautiful. Auntie Eva, who had always yearned to succeed ahead and had worked hard since she was young without being rewarded, had spectacularly taken hold of the change given to her by the riddle of the epitaph, and now had finally gained that position. How divine is the smile of a person whose childhood dreams have been granted. I definitely won't accept witches. But Butler put his hands together, making a small sound. Clap, clap. It didn't reach her ears, but it did celebrate her. Congratulations, Auntie Eva. You solved the riddle of the epitaph masterfully, and before anyone else. It is your victory without any complaints. I won't accept all about the Golden Witch and so on, but I accept you are the new head of the Ushiromiya family, and I will celebrate you honestly. As though lured by Butler's applause, Beato also clapped. It was a slightly odd scene, because Butler and Beato, who opposed each other, were standing next to each other, applauding for the same person. Not clapping for the witch. I'm clapping for all of Auntie Eva's efforts up until now. I am too. I am offering Eva my sincerest congratulations in applause for the tremendous accomplishments of solving that epitaph. I didn't like the fact that I'm clapping with you. But, well, I don't worry about it for now. I guess it doesn't hurt to clap with you every once in a while. It wasn't bad once in a while. Still, it is fun to applaud. Even though it was Eva who achieved it and not me, for some reason, I'm starting to feel happy too. That's because celebrating someone means the same thing as empathizing with their joy and sharing in it. I see. Then I must be sharing this irrationally happy feeling with you. Since we are a pair of enemies trying to make each other submit, it is an odd experience. Well, just for now. Let's have a truce and clap, alright? Beato laughed impish, playing around and applauding even louder, as though eagerly trying not to lose to Butler as she clapped. Butler went along with her and clapped even louder, due cretini. And when she did, as though he had ended some sort of ceremony, everyone present put their hands together in a loud applause and highly praised the newborn Beatrice. It was just as though Butler and Beato's applause had been the final thing needed for her succession.